In 1979 Ohio, several youngsters are making a zombie movie with a Super 8 camera. In the midst of filming, the friends witness a horrifying train derailment and are lucky to escape with their lives. They soon discover that the catastrophe was no accident, as a series of unexplained events and disappearances soon follow. Deputy Jackson Lamb, the father of one of the kids, searches for the terrifying truth behind the crash. Welcome to another episode of Midnight Double Feature. On today's episode, we're talking about Super 8, directed by J.J. Abrams. Collin, welcome back. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, buddy? I'm doing well. I happy to be back. Happy to be doing another episode, and happy to be doing some more sci-fi. How are you doing, bud?
I'm good, dude. I'm good. It's good to be doing some sci-fi. Like we've been on a bit of a roll lately, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, like we had Flatliners last week. What do we have? We had something else, didn't we? Jesus Christ, I'm already forgetting. RoboCop. That's right. I was like, I know there's another sci-fi in there somewhere, but I just couldn't remember what it was. You want to just fucking jump right into our opening thoughts with this bitch?
Yeah, fuck it. And you know what? I'm going to say it. I'm going first.
Yeah, go for gold, bitch. Steal my thunder.
But yeah, I really like this movie. I think this movie is great. I honestly, I'm just going to say it. If you don't like this movie, go fuck yourself. Like, to be completely honest, like, what's nice about doing this show with you is that we agree on a lot of stuff, but we also disagree on a lot of stuff. I think, especially, you know, if anybody has listened to like the previous like Winter Soldier episode, there's like quite a few stuff that me and you and Vela all kind of like disagree on, and that's great. But at the same time, like this is one of the few movies that we've done that we're just like, yes, like 100%, like I'm totally on board for this. Like, yeah. You did Tropic Thunder, I was kind of like, meh, you know, and I picked The Void, you were kind of like, meh. But it's nice when we do a movie, and we've got, you know, Django and Zodiac, and there's definitely episodes that we like 100% agree on, but it's really nice when you have something like, when you have a movie like this, that's kind of, it's got its fingers in a lot of different kind of like things that we love, especially, I mean,
pussies.
Yeah, right, buttholes. But, you know, we're talking about a guy who's, you know, J.J. Abrams, who, you know, he is a great director in his own right, obviously, obviously like a kind of like a pseudo protege to Steven Spielberg. And, you know, with you growing up and loving Jurassic Park, and, you know, and I grew up watching like, but a different kind of Spielberg stuff, you know, but everything, and that's another thing, Steven Spielberg had his hand in so much different stuff. We're talking about Goonies, talking about, I mean, God, Schindler's List, pussies, buttholes, still, yeah, God, even Poltergeist, you know, he produced so much stuff, and you know, it's cool to see that his kind of legacy live on through J.J. Abrams, and this is a movie that like both of us can agree on, because it's its own movie, but it is also majorly a send up to, you know, and I would say it's 50-50, you know, 50-50 its own movie, 50-50 kind of a send up to a lot of the old Amblin kind of stuff. You know, this feels very Stranger Things. This feels very Goonies, and maybe a little bit of Stand By Me, but not like a whole lot. But you know, just kids living in a neighborhood fighting something. You know, it's kind of like the kids versus, you know, society or whatever. Kind of a little bit of Stephen King's It. But all in all, yeah, I like this movie a lot, and I'm not a huge, like, I don't dislike J.J. Abrams, but I'm not like, I don't feel the same way about J.J. Abrams as I feel about Christopher Nolan, if that makes any sense. Like, I think he's a great director, and obviously he's produced so much more stuff than I realized. I thought he was just primarily a director, and I was certainly mistaken. I started looking up his IMDb career, and I mean, he's produced,
dude, I'll get to that. Don't worry.
So much fucking stuff. But yeah, I like this movie a lot. I think that it's not, like anything, it's not without its flaws, but it's just hard. It's hard to find a shit ton of like flaws with it as I'm looking through it, and I think people who maybe are a little bit more educated in film rhetoric and know how to break down films and stuff like that would probably find more stuff. But like, I'm also not trying to pick this thing apart the whole time that I'm watching it. I'm just thoroughly enjoyed the entire time. The kids are great. I think that especially for child actors, because it's so hard to get good child actors, I think that's why the movies that really stand out, again, like, the new Stephen King's It, Stand By Me, Stranger Things, The Goonies, the child acting is really what seals the deal with a lot of them, and they're great. All of them are really good. I question why some characters are there sometimes, but we'll get farther into that as we go along. But yeah, all in all, I love this thing. I definitely own it. That's how you know if I love something or not. Because I'm like, I would not own it. I would not own it. Like, I can't tell you how many times we've been talking about a movie, and I'm like, I will never buy that. Like, I will never have that. But yeah, and I was excited to kind of bust the dust off of it because I haven't watched it in a long time, and I was surprised by how much I actually like it. Again, I might even watch it whenever I get off here because I just now watched it once for the first time in like I don't know, like 3 years or something. So it's like, you know what, I might even go back tonight, stay up because I got the weekend off. Might stay up and do a little movie watching with my dog.
Oh, it's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I fucking love this movie. This was awesome, dude. Let me talk a bit about Abrams for a sec, because Abrams, I mean, okay, I definitely agree with you that he's not up there with Nolan, but everything he makes, I'm always on board for. Like, let's go back a little bit. I mean, this guy, I think he's got a much more storied career than a lot of people realize. He wrote Regarding Henry with Harrison Ford, which is really good. He wrote Armageddon, the Michael Bay.
Shit, I did not know that.
Yeah. He wrote another movie called Joyride that I really dig. That's a horror kind of thriller movie.
Yeah.
Over here it's called shit, I'm forgetting.
That's a terrible name for a movie.
No, it's called something else here. It's God damn it, how am I forgetting it? But you know what? I'll come back to it. Roadkill. Sorry, it's called Roadkill here.
Of course it is.
But yeah, he got his directing start in Mission Impossible 3, which is a fucking which for me is where the series really kind of took off. Like, I was just telling you off air that Vala and I saw Mission Impossible 6 last night. Jesus. And it is incredible, like, seriously. But yeah, for me, I think 3 is where the greatness of that series really starts. Like, the first one's good, second one's dog shit, but the third one's really, really good. And then that's where his career kind of really took off. 2 years later, he produced Cloverfield, which is, think what you want about that movie, but it did start a phenomenon. It was one of the first kind of really big handheld camera movies.
I definitely own it.
Yeah, well, and what does that say, right?
Yeah, right.
So it's definitely a really good movie, and I'll actually circle back to Cloverfield when we start talking about Super 8, because they're kind of
it's hard not to, man. It's really hard not to.
Exactly. 100%. It's really hard not to. But Mission Impossible 3 took him to Star Trek. I mean, seriously, this guy's career just took off incredibly. And that 2009 Star Trek, really fucking good. There was a time when we've been talking about covering that movie, I think. Yeah, so I definitely love that movie. And then came Super 8, and Super 8, this came out at the right age for me. I was 16. Dude, I cannot believe it's been fucking 8 years? Seriously. 7 years, sorry.
Right, yeah.
I fully remember whenever. Okay, so Midnight Double Feature, the way that name kind of came around is because we both used to work at the movies and things like that. We before we started the podcast, we had stories that we used to tell each other about all these movie going fucking just working as cinema staff.
Shenanigans.
Shenanigans. And every time we cover a movie that came out or was out during the period of my employment at the movies, I kind of get like really nostalgic. This is one of them. So 2011, I was about 1 year into my job at the movies, and like, you know, every time, like I said, every time we cover something, I'm always like, just reminded back of those days. And how, you know, we do like cinema checks where you have to kind of like walk in and like check the doors are closed, and, you know, everyone's fucking acting, you know, people don't have their feet up and shit, and you know, aren't making out or fucking in the aisles, and
it happens.
Hey, trust me, man, it fucking happens. To your general audiences out there, it happens a lot more than you think. So
yes.
next time you sit down, just make sure there's no stains on the seats or anything like that.
Make sure it's definitely soda that's sticky under your seat.
Oh yeah, make sure it's soda. Make sure it's actual candy. Yeah, because yeah. So that's a you know, we could release like a bonus episode one day and just talk about that shit,
dude. Because just to interject just for a second, because when this movie came out, I was 21. I was working in the theater, and on my 21st birthday, we got a bottle of Smirnoff vodka and brought it in, and it was third shift, so there's nobody there, and we all just got hammered and went around the theater and drinking like green apple Smirnoff vodka, and you know you get all those fountain drinks, so we were mixing it with like just crazy shit like Fanta and Sprite and just like crazy random stuff. And I swear to God, I'm like 99% sure this movie was out that day. I'm pretty sure it was. So it's so
That's
funny. We're both,
awesome.
2011. We're like, oh yeah, we were both like a year into working at the theater. So sorry to interrupt you, but yeah.
No. Seriously, dude. Like, I fucking, like, we can turn this podcast into a nostalgia fest. Because that's what this movie is. It is a nostalgia fest. I mean, like, we weren't alive in the 80s or whenever this is set. I think it's 79. But yeah, it's totally a nostalgia fest. Sorry, just rounding out Abrams' sort of career. He obviously created Alias and Lost. Lost was a massive thing. And he got the Mission Impossible directing gig where Tom Cruise watched Alias and he was like, yep, I know this guy can do this. And the rest is history. I mean, like, the guy's now directed Star Wars The Force Awakens, and he's about to direct the finale in the trilogy. And to be honest, it doesn't really get any bigger than that in terms of a directing gig, right? Like, once you've directed Star Wars, like, that's when you know you've fucking made it in Hollywood. And in my... to be fair, I think he's directed the best installment so far of the new sort of Star Wars kind of canon. I don't think you've seen Force Awakens, have you?
No, it's sitting on top of my Xbox right now. No, I need to watch. You know, I'm going to go watch Super 8 again, but I probably won't watch that one tonight.
See, the good thing about JJ's kind of like direction, it feels so confident. And with Force Awakens, it's definitely 100% that. With Star Trek, that's definitely what it was, and that's what you get with Super 8 as well. Like, you know, obviously Super 8 is produced by Spielberg, and it's definitely got like Spielberg's kind of like fingerprints on it, but that's because most of it is a love letter, an homage to Spielberg's older work, right? Like, a lot of this definitely feels like E.T., a lot of it feels like Goonies, feels like Stand By Me, and it's just it's the setting. I love the setting more than I love the story or the alien and things like that. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, the story and the alien's really cool, but to me, I love the setting. And like, we're in an era right now where this whole kind of, we're living in this 80s nostalgia kind of thing. Like you said it, you hit the nail on the head. Stranger Things, right? Stranger Things is that brought that back to here. To the here and now really, really well. And not to mention It, right? It covered that really well.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you've got this kind of like 80s nostalgia kind of vibe going on. Like, everyone's like remembering back to the old days. And dude, I would argue that this brought the 80s nostalgia in way before that. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, this is 2011. That didn't come out until like 16, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, 2016. I think like it's awesome because as much as I do love Stranger Things, and I'll cut a bitch for not liking that show, that's hands down my. I don't want to. Yeah, it's probably my favorite television show, right there, neck and neck with like Futurama. You know, because I mean, it's just perfect. It's perfect television for me. But there is something I like about this movie that it doesn't dial it up to 11 so much that you get the pun.
I see
there.
why you did that.
It doesn't dial it up to 11 like Stranger Things does, where it's Stranger Things. Sometimes it's a little bit over the top. Maybe it's supposed to be. It's a little maybe it's supposed to be a little tongue in cheek. Kind of like, oh yeah, we know that that we're doing this kind of like over the top. But this movie feels a little bit more toned down in that aspect. I mean, J.J. Abrams has this cool thing of, I don't know, it's almost like modern retro. Like everything seems like it's kind of a little bit of a throwback, but it's just so sleek, and he does something really, really incredible with like gray and blue kind of colors and like yellow. It looks
I'm so glad you noticed that.
It's all of his yellows and blues and like his brighter colors look so good because I feel like he kind of stays in this dark color kind of saturation, and it looks incredible.
It feels ultra, although it's like ultra retro. It feels super modern. Like,
right,
you know what
exactly. I mean? It just feels like we took something from 30 years ago, and instead of watching it on an 8mm, now we're watching it on 4K, and it feels really, really great. And I love his use of like Dutch angles in a lot of stuff. Like I hate like Dutch angles and a lot of stuff with that tilted ass camera look. I can't stand that. But he does this amazing thing where he'll start off with this like kind of like Dutch angle, this tilt, and then pull in on the subject and straighten up and twirl at the same time and cut to the other side of them. It looks incredible. I hate Dutch angles. Like I can't stand them. But his use of the camera, it's just insane because it feels so familiar, but it looks like something brand new.
I completely 100% agree, man. Like the way he shoots the films are really unique. It's definitely got this style. And look, what do you think about the lens flares? Because a lot has been made about the J.J. Abrams signature lens flares, and that's definitely in this.
I know that, I don't have a whole lot of like experience like with filmmaking. Yeah, I've gotten into it about as much as anybody else has. I mean, and I've shot like just, little things here and there with some friends and stuff, nothing really crazy. And I just as you're starting to get into it, you'll notice, oh wait, that's a lens flare, blah, blah, blah. Some people might call that lazy filmmaking. Maybe, but does it bother me that much? No, it doesn't bother me. And I think it does kind of add this kind of effect that I do like. It's I don't think it's lazy filmmaking, and if it's something that he likes, it's something that he likes. It doesn't really bother me at all. But I can see where somebody might have a problem with it.
See, it doesn't bother me at all. Like, to me, it adds to what we were just talking about. Like, you're watching this kind of retro sort of movie, but the lens flare is kind of like it seems like Neo kind of like god damn, I don't know how to say this because like I've always thought about the lens flares in his movies and how much I actually really like him. Like it's got something to do with it feels like futuristic. It feels like, I don't know, maybe futuristic's the wrong word. I don't know what I'm saying here, Colin.
I see what you mean. It feels kind of I don't know. It kind of puts this sheen on things. It looks very like sleek and like there's
sleek and like modern and new and at the
I
same
totally
time,
see what you mean. Yeah, yes, futuristic is the wrong word. You're an idiot. But no, I'm just kidding. But like I totally see what you mean though. Yeah, it kind of gives it this sleek kind of like modern, newer, kind of like tighter look to it, kind of shinier look.
Yeah, well, that's right. Shinier, I guess, is the word. But yeah, man, I absolutely love the hell out of this movie. I adore this movie. I think it's very underrated. I think it's sitting at 82% on Rotten Tomatoes, which doesn't sound underrated. I'd probably maybe say 86, 87 would be the right amount. To me, it's been underseen. I know people who have seen it, but every time I'm like, oh, have you seen Super 8? People are like, what? Well, what's that? I don't know. It's been underseen, and like I think it's definitely a gem. It's a gem that people do tend to forget about because no one's really talking about it and things like that. And sure, like it wasn't really made to be this big sort of movie that you're supposed to be remembering in like 20 years, but it's always good to find like little gems like this that were made and just kind of like revel in them, I guess.
Right, yeah, it's even though it's a newer movie, like it still has that kind of like we were talking about with the Amblin thing. It has something that everybody can kind of take away from it. It's got a lot of comedy, it's got a lot of heart, a little bit of romance. The romance isn't over the top, which is great because they're all fucking 12. And most of all, we've got small kids in a small town with a big monster, and it's like that's literally, I'm there, man. Fucking where's the vending? Where can I go get my popcorn? I'm fucking there, dude. Like that's
100%.
Right. But yeah, are you ready to jump into this bitch?
Yeah, man. Let's fucking get right into this.
They will kill you. Do not speak of this, or else you and your parents will die.
It's just so good to see the Amblin logo. The Amblin logo. And for me now, the Bad Robot logo, that's J.J. Abrams' company. Watching Mission Impossible last night, that's like right at the start. So it's really cool. It's a unique logo as well. But yeah, we kick it off in this mill, I guess, the steel mill. And dude, let's talk about the music for a sec. Michael Giacchino's score. Giacchino's worked with J.J. Abrams a lot in the past. He did Lost. He did Star Wars Rogue One. He's done a lot of things here and there. He's becoming really, really sort of big. And his score throughout this movie, it's really touching. Like, it's a bit in your face. Like, now you're supposed to feel emotion. Like, I get that. But it's touching, man. Like, especially like this opening kind of shot where you see this guy changing the safety board. Days since last accident. It used to be what was it? 748
or something like that.
Yeah, 784. Oh, you were close. 784, and then we come to find out that there was an accident, and and now it's a 0. What do you think about this opening? It's like it doesn't blow shit up straight away. It's actually really indicative of what the movie is, and that's kind of like a heartfelt, kind of like down to earth story.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think it kind of has this energy to it where, show don't tell and a lot of stuff. And we are kind of just like telling you because it's basically just words on a board, but it's kind of like, you see somebody in a movie, it says the speed limit's like 40 and they come flying past the speed limit sign. We, even though we're associating it with like a number or a word, we understand like what's going on. Versus like if we watch something and we want to show that a character is an alcoholic, we just show an empty, several empty bottles of whiskey around the house. Like we're not telling you that it's empty, you're just seeing it. So I think that like this does a little bit of both. It's kind of flat out telling you what's going on, but that is such a common staple in a lot of American factories. Like I actually just started working a factory job like 3 or 4 days ago, and we have that up in our factory or in our warehouse. So I definitely I definitely like seeing that because it's a visual thing, and it kind of immediately J.J. Abrams has this great thing with tickling your curiosity and leaving you with kind of mysterious stuff. So you're seeing that and you're immediately going, well, what the fuck happened? Like you're like immediately like, whoa, what happened? Yeah,
you're pulled in immediately, right?
Right, exactly. It just sucks you in right away.
Well, that's something that I did want to touch on, and I just completely forgot to do it in my opening thoughts, but just quickly. The marketing for this movie was incredible. Abrams has this, like you said, this kind of energy that makes you, like, piques your interest. And, like, I think he's got a lot to do with the marketing, because when the trailer for this came out, it was literally just a shot of the ute as it crashes into the train, and like over it, it's like telling you, it's like, in 1979, the government was working on this thing and something crashed in touchdown in New Mexico or something like that. And then like when I first saw that trailer, man, I was like, holy shit, what is this? And then like you just see the thing coming out of there's a shot of how later in the train crash when Joe's looking at the carriage and like the thing busts out, it's kind of like a different sort of like a top-down angle shot of the door like absolutely getting slammed and like it busts open. And obviously before it busts open, it cuts to black and cuts to the title card. it piques your interest because like at that time, everyone was thinking this was a sequel to Cloverfield.
Right, yeah, definitely.
And like, Cloverfield was this big, like, especially when it came out, it was a bit of a phenomenon because, it asked more questions than it answered, right? Like, but yeah, it was definitely cool, man. And like, going back to the opening for this, all good science fiction really starts with tragedy. Like, think about Star Wars with Luke and his aunt and uncle. Like, it's just a good way to like start things off and to like kind of like ground the science fiction experience into your own sort of reality, so you can like you can empathize with it and you can like really relate to it, because what they're about to show you with the aliens and shit, you can't really connect with that on a human level.
Right, yeah, it's just like when you see Peter Weller get murdered at the beginning of RoboCop, and I really empathize with that because I myself was murdered and brought back as a half man, half machine.
Oh, nice, yeah.
It was pretty traumatic. I don't want to talk about it right now, but yeah, I see what you mean though.
But yeah, man, we get introduced to these kids. These kids are great. I love how there's a stereotypical one with like the braces that can't talk. Guys, I want to blow shit up. I know. I hate them so much. But yeah, I do like these kids, man. One of the big things about Stranger Things is the interaction between the kids and, whether they can actually carry the series. So it's on these kids to actually carry the movie, as well as Kyle Chandler, dude. Kyle Chandler is awesome. He's obviously the guy that plays the sheriff. He's got this way about him, this really authoritative way, but, behind his eyes, he's very kind of broken. What do you think about Kyle Chandler in this movie?
Right, he's Deputy Lamb, right? He's the main character's father.
Yep.
Yeah. I thought it did great because I can't help every time I look at the guy, I think King Kong, and I think about that jackass character that he plays, and
that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but he does such a good job, in King Kong, like playing that kind of like, look at me, I'm a movie star, and then when the cameras stop, he's like, oh God, someone help me, like he's like terrified of everything, and I think he does a great job, and especially in this, he's very. There's nothing special about his performance. It's done well, but there's nothing like left memorable. But it's not supposed to be a memorable performance. It's a guy who's a deputy in Illinois, I think.
It's Lillian. The name of the town is Lillian.
Right, yeah, because I know Lillian's fictional. That's named after J.J. Abrams' grandmother. But
it was shot in West Virginia.
West Virginia. I think it's Ohio. That's right. You said Ohio in the beginning of it.
Ohio,
God, Jesus
that's
Christ.
Right. Yeah. Fuck me.
God,
what are we doing?
Me too.
Why are we here?
Let's just go home. I am home. No, but yeah, I think he does a great job of he's a deputy in a small town, and he's lost his wife, and he doesn't really know how to cope with all of this. And I think he does a good job realistically. He's playing tough guy. He doesn't want his son to see him grieving. And he doesn't know how to handle it. Totally understandable and acceptable stuff, and I think he pulls it off well. I think he really does.
Absolutely, man. But yeah, we meet Joe Lamb as well, who's the main kid that's gonna guide us through the story. He's obviously fucking upset about something, right? And like,
yeah.
But yeah, we see the locket, which is kind of important later. This whole idea of sort of letting go, even at the end when it's a bit sort of obvious, he literally has to let go of the locket. We'll get to that, but I like it, man. I dig it. Jack hauls Lewis into the car. At this point, we're still like, there's still so many questions that's being asked. This is again a very J.J. Abrams thing. It's very Lost, like, ask all these questions and then answer them later. Lost was a bit scattershot with its answers, but I dig the way this movie wraps up its sort of conclusions and things like that. But yeah, we cut to 4 months later. The kids are, I believe it's the last day of school. I love the idea of filmmaking as kids.
Yeah.
It's really this idea of like, there's really creative kids, and it plays into me a lot. And like, I wish we had Vela on this podcast, because Vela, I know, is like, he's a big. I think he used to do a lot of this when he was a kid, but for me it was more like writing fiction. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I dig it, man. And I love the way his friend Charles is like really, really into it.
Oh yeah, dude, that kid is great. That kid, he's like the Dustin from Stranger Things of this movie.
Yeah. He's making a low-budget zombie movie for an international film competition. Just
you all right over there?
Fucking yeah. It's just the kid with the braces. It's just
dude.
like.
Hey, you guys gonna see my fireworks?
Oh, good lord, he's a bit rough, isn't he?
God, stop breathing on me.
He's a bit rough, but I like how Charles is like, yeah. We asked what's her name? Elle Fanning's character.
Oh yeah,
Alice Daynard, and as soon as Charles says, we also invited Alice to do it, and they're like. It seems like Joe just like he just breaks into a whole different world. He's like, wait, you asked Alice? It's really adorable, dude. Like, you know,
yes.
It's like it's just this like whole like, oh shit, we're still kids, you know, we're still thinking about girls and shit like that. There's about to be this whole like massive like alien, you know, government conspiracy, but at the core of it is this love story.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we see their movie, which is actually pretty good. What do you think about the movie? Like, because he watches it on the thing.
Yeah, like, I thought it was funny because you see it during the end credits. And I mean,
that's right.
It's pretty good for a bunch of 12-year-olds. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
right,
not,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. And I was like, I mean, on like, if I'm not grading this with a curve, no, but like,
no.
Yeah, I thought, I mean, it's. There's a lot of it that doesn't make sense, but I'm like, wait, where does the train? I mean, but you don't pick it apart. It's like a movie within a movie that a bunch of 12-year-olds made. But it's adorable and it is charming. Like to see, to see their movie and how they make it. It is pretty funny because I've shot a short film myself, and I see stuff that I did at like 26 that they're doing, and they're 12. And I'm like, shit. Oh god, no.
Oh shit.
But yeah, it's pretty funny, man.
Charles' sister's hot. I hope she's over 18.
All right, I got 4-1. 4-1 odds. She's over 18. Who's got the money?
Oh boy, that's gonna probably come back to bite me in the ass. But Charles's dad is from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He plays Scully. He's just this fucking ridiculous cop. But I like this contrast from this family, and then he goes home to see what's left of his family. I mean, the deputy's like really, he's obviously broken up still about his mother's death, right? It's only 4 months later. He kind of walks in on him in the bathroom crying, not that way because his penis is small or something like that, but because his mother's dead. Mother's dead. This is a broken family. Like I even like the way Abrams kind of like contrast the colors and the lighting in the houses. Like Charles's house is all like bright and like, you know, brightly lit, whereas everything here is like all dark and shit like that.
Yeah, I love at Charles's house too. The casting between what Charles and his dad, I was like, holy shit, you two look alike. like
they do.
That's exceptionally well. But I love as Joe's leaving, he's like, hey, you know, you've always got a place over here, blah blah blah. Like I like that. You can tell these people are very very close. Obviously, they're neighbors and their kids have been friends for a long time. So you get a good feeling from Charles's family right away, and I like that a lot, especially with what Joe is going through. And like you said, going over there, walking in, his dad's crying. I love his dad's reaction. He just stands up, and it's like he slips back into just, you know, dad mode like immediately, or you know, just puts
he's really good.
Yeah, and he's just like, hey, be out in a minute, and just shuts the door in the kid's face. Like, you know, it's kind of like what Will Wheaton's character says in Stand By Me. It's like, maybe, you know, River Phoenix's dad, you know, abuses him, like physically abuses him, and he's like, yeah, but, you know, I'd rather be hit than like ignored or like have a door shut on me or be shut out. That's almost worse, man, because like at least least at least when you're being physically hit, it's like, well, I know how you feel. It's like when you're shutting a kid out and you're not talking to them, like I think that's so much worse. It's like the silent treatment in a small way. It's like, fuck, man, that's rough. That's real, especially when you're looking to the other parent to depend on them after losing the other one, and they can't hold it together, understandably. Man, that's real rough.
It is rough. Dude, Kyle Chandler's just such a beast. Have you seen? I mean, he's been in a shitload of things. He was in Argo. He was in Zero Dark 30, Wolf of Wall Street, Game Night. He's going to be in Godzilla, the Godzilla sequel. Like you said, he was in King Kong, but let's not remember that. But he's also like the lead in Bloodline, which is a pretty good Netflix show. Recommend watching that. But yeah, we cut over to this scene where I guess he's kind of making him want to go to boarding school, right? He's like, you got to forget about, all this playing makeup with the whole filmmaking and all playing make-believe and all that shit, and you just got to start being a man.
It's like a 6-week baseball camp, but he's sending him away. It's basically a boarding school. He needs some space. Exactly,
right. He needs some space. He talks about, I like your friends, except for Carrie because he likes to blow up shit. But yeah, we after that, we cut over to... one thing that I was like really surprised about this movie is how quickly it sort of sets everything up. In 10 minutes, we get the relationship between the kids, we get the relationship between Joe and his father, the death of his mom, the fact that Joe wants to send him away. It's really well done. It's really quick. What do you think about the pacing of this movie overall?
I thought it was good because, we see Charles' family life, we see Joe's, we get a little bit of... of Allie and what's her name? Is it Raynard or Brainerd? I can't.
Daynard.
You get a little bit of a look in on the Daynards. We're already set with all of our characters. There's the only thing I don't understand is why the fuck Zach Mills, he plays the character Preston, the dark-headed kid who has like 10 lines in this whole movie. Why the fuck is he there? I don't understand.
Why is he there? Yeah, I'm with you with that one. Because like later when he breaks the lock in the school, I'm like, oh, you did something.
No, not him. Not the kid with not the kid with glasses. No. But I mean, still, that's Martin. Martin is the one who throws up constantly and is fucking terrified of everything.
Is Preston the one, like, later when he's in the hospital, when they're in the, kind of like the Air Force kind of holding, and Kyle Chandler's like, you tell me where they are and I won't throw you in jail?
Yeah, right, okay. That's him. Yeah. And I was like, I guess he's only really needed for that one scene. But like, the whole time I was like, why the fuck is this kid here? But yeah, it gets set up pretty quickly, and we start busting through some stuff right away.
Yeah, for sure. I like this this whole thing with Elle Fanning driving the car. Sorry, Alice driving the car, and she's like, "That's a sheriff's kid." And she's like, he's already seen me in the car.
Yeah,
like, the comedy in this movie really works. I think, like this again, the relationship between the kids is great.
Yeah, she's got a deep ass voice for a 12-year-old girl. Like she looks
a lot older than the rest of them, I think.
Yeah, I mean, because I read that she's basically, in a little trivia here, perfect timing, she's 12. They couldn't even let her drive, even if she knew how to drive. It's like, it's illegal. We can't let you drive. Like, just for insurance purposes, like, we can't have you drive the car. So there's a guy in the back seat, like, with a small steering wheel driving it, and he's out of view the whole time. I was like, wow, that's pretty fucking crazy. But yeah, I like this a lot, leading up, and she basically thinks he's a rat, because he's a deputy's kid.
Exactly, and Joe's great in this car scene, like, really quickly. I love that the camera just kind of lingers on him, because he's so amazed by this girl. Like, right. he's so kind of smitten, man. Like, it's really cute. But we get to this location, this train sequence. Okay, this is the set piece of the movie, right? Like, when you talk about Super 8, this is the first kind of thing that comes to my mind. Mm-hmm. You don't see many train crashes on screen, but we'll get to that. I wanted to talk about kind of like the lead up to that, because like the way they film the movie is like really, really cool. Like the kid in the background as they're filming on the phone.
He's not even saying words. His mouth is just going up and down. It looks like he's chewing air.
He looks like those clowns, like, you know, at the circus, like those when you put the ball into those clown mouths and like the ball comes out. Those rotating clowns. But and also the line, "Your obsession with fireworks, and I'm saying this as a friend, concerns me and my mother."
Dude, they have some good ones, man. I love is oh god, I'm glad this is another problem that I'm having with the kids' names. I know Charles is the bigger kid and kind of like the right hand man to Joe. They were originally going to have 8 kids. 8, and because they were like, you know, Super 8, you know, blah blah. It'll be kind of like a double entendre thing, and I was like, man, you could cut probably 1 or 2 more kids out of this fucking thing. Honestly, like I'm glad god damn it, like that's a lot, of kids. Like it does it well, but seriously, 8 would have been like, what the fuck. But I love Charles is going over his lines with Martin, and he's like, just listen, say I love you, I love you, I love you too. See, doesn't that flow so much better? What was your original response to "I love you"? Like, well, what is it? What's the dialogue?
Okay. Yeah, I love you. Okay. But I love Charles's reaction. God, I'm just directing. Like you can immediately tell he's like one of those like really fucking in your face directors that you're just like, shut the fuck up and let me do my shit.
You slap a beard on this kid and he is like 14-year-old Stanley Kubrick.
Oh my god, yeah. Let's do that take again. Okay, that's not perfect, but let's do it again.
Stanley, everyone's dead. Let's do that one again too.
For sure. But yeah, Charles sees the train approaching. Production value. It's really adorable. Like I really like the way they're trying to hone in on their creativity, I guess.
Yeah, he's an opportunist, man.
No, yeah, for sure. But yeah, they're all scrambling. They're really like all scrambling to get everything in place. Every time I watch this, I watch it with my dad, and my dad's like, I remember Super 8 cameras.
Now there's like nostalgia trips about them.
Yeah. He's like, oh yes, I used to have a Super 8 camera, and I'm just like, oh, Dad, like, come on, man, like, just fucking watch the movie. Just savagely beat him. One of my favorite shots in the movie is really subtle. It's just a shot of a really like close up of the rail shaking, and like in the background you can see the station and them just kind of scrambling to get to the positions as the train approaches. But yeah, we see the train roll past. You know, they're doing the lines, and Joe sees a ute approaching the approaching the front of the train, and he sees the ute smash into the train. Now, when I first saw this, it felt a little weird to me, because in that trailer that I was talking about earlier, you see it from the point of view of Dr. Woodward. Yeah, who's in the ute. You see him like blast through like this boom gate, and you see him like on the train tracks. Like, you don't see him obviously, but you see the ute. And then
are you saying ute?
Yeah, ute, utility.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait, hold on. You guys call them pickups. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is a ute? Like, I'm thinking like the weird little guitars. I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? And I was like,
no, we call them utes, like utility vehicles. Yeah.
Well, there you go, America. Now we're trading off valuable information here between our two countries. Sorry to interrupt you.
Fuck you, America. Why are they called pickups? Eat a dick. But yeah, like in that trailer, we saw the ute literally on the train tracks and literally like head-on collide. You don't see it from the point of view of Joe, so it did feel like a little anticlimactic for me. But then we get this ridiculous train crash, this fucking thing that goes on for like 5 minutes. It's crazy. Like,
yeah,
but it's fucking beautiful. Like, seriously.
Yeah, it looks great. It is over the top and it is outlandish and it's outrageous, but it's great. It looks really good. And then you feel like you're in a fucking minefield. You know, you're like, oh god, just keep going, kids. Just keep going. You'll be all right. Just keep going.
Yeah, man. Like, it's just absolute carnage. The effects are pretty cool too. Like, I do dig the effects. But But yeah, man, just this shot of like this carriage going through the actual building, it's fucking crazy. And like you can tell because like it's really easy to tell what's practical and what's not. But you can definitely tell like that they fucking blow up that building for sure. But I also wanted to talk about like why I guess this train crash is kind of protracted. I guess it's a really sort of big indicator that, you know, these kids are way in over their heads, right? I mean, you know, the bigger they do this train crash, the bigger you show the audience that, you know, these kids have no idea what they're walking into. Like this is way too big for them to handle.
Right. These kids should not be here. And, you know, at first I was like, man, this is a little much. And I was like, well, there whatever. There's explosives on the train, or the whole train was filled with propane gas, or whatever the fuck you want to say. Like, all right, I'll go along with it. It's a movie. Fuck it. But yeah, it's a clear indicator of like, oh man, yeah, we got to get our dad's car back or we're dead.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. But yeah, you see some of these amazing shots of like the kids running through, and just in the background you just see all these just carnage, absolute carnage. But yeah, so Joe finds himself near a container. You know, the loading doors like thrown from the carriage by an unseen force. It's pretty fucking crazy, man. Like wouldn't you just be shitting yourself? I would be like, what the fuck is this? Oh boy. But yeah, the kids regroup. They wonder about the wreckage. You know, Joe thinks that, you know, one of them's hurt, but eventually it just ends up being the blood kit.
Oh, he's worried about her though. For a second, it's Allie, and he's like, oh, yeah. Oh man, he starts freaking out. It's pretty cute, man.
100%, yeah. Like this kid's great. This kid is such a great little actor.
Yeah, 11 callbacks he had to go through to get that part. 11.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, he got called back 11 times. They auditioned 5,000 kids for this movie. I was like, holy
shit.
Fuck, man. 5,000 kids for like 6 parts.
Holy
I was like,
shit.
Yeah, that's a fucking lot, man. I do actually have like just a little bit of trivia. Just real quick. The kid that plays the kid that plays Charles, whatever you want to call him, Riley Griffiths. Yeah. Yep. On April Fool's, he pranked J.J. Abrams and said that he was at the mall and lost his script, and that it was now online and somebody had leaked it.
I did hear about this. Yeah.
And he said, I thought I was scared to do it to J.J., and then I saw his reaction and I was like shaking by the end of it. He's like, I was so scared because he looked so fucking mad. And I was like, oh my God, I could imagine. He looks like he would be cool about everything else, but when you fuck with his creative process, he looks like he would just be a fucking beast, man. Like, I would hate to piss that guy off, like, creatively.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, because that's going back to what we were talking about. He's so, like, JJ's really so secretive about his projects. With Star Wars The Force Awakens, we got, like, 3 really short trailers. And I doubt... that was some of the best marketing I've ever seen for a movie, because it gave literally nothing away. So I'm really keen to see what they do with Episode 9 now that he's back at the director's chair.
Yeah, for sure. This is also J.J. Abrams' first like original movie. Which is insane. You know, it's crazy to think about. You know, now we're, you know, it's like, wow. I mean, but he made such a career. I hate to say like a career out of other people's stuff, but he was so good at doing it, we really didn't care, and that nobody ever really said, "Oh, this guy's never done an original movie." You know, blah blah. It didn't even occur to me. Didn't even give a fuck. His movies look great. Like, I don't care about that. But that surprised me.
First original movie and only original movie. He hasn't done one since.
Yeah, and it's also, weirdly enough, his only movie without Simon Pegg, which I thought was awesome. Simon Pegg is my spirit animal. It's probably more like Nick Frost because I'm fat, but I I love Simon Pegg, so I love seeing that kind of little bit of trivia. But yeah, let's jump back into this thing. I don't want to spend too much time.
No, for sure. So they see the Ute, which is absolutely decimated. This guy would not be alive, by the way.
No fucking
He's dead
way.
For sure. You just took on an 800-ton train. Like, you are destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they see that it's Mr. Woodward. Dr. Woodward, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
He did biology. He did honors biology.
I never had his class. We know.
Yeah, we know. How great is it? How great's the back and forth? Dr. Woodward warns them that they will kill them and that they should keep it a secret or they and their parents will die. Again, the mystery element of this movie is really, really good. Immediately you're just kind of like thrown into it. But yeah, they see flashlights and things like that and they just make a break for it. The children flee the scene just as a convoy from the local US Air Force base, led by Colonel Nellick, arrives at the scene. So Colonel Nellick is played by Noah Emmerich.
I love that guy, man. He's so good.
He's good, dude. How good is he in this?
He's great, man. Walking Dead, The Truman Show, and he's never Frequency. Yeah. He's like constantly a supporting role, and I'm like, dude, this guy could be a leading role. I really love to see him. Maybe I'm just not paying attention enough to his career, but he's always like a side guy in every one of the bigger movies that he's in, and he could do it, man. I really hope that there are some movies that he's taking the lead in because he's fucking great.
No. To be honest, man, I was literally about to wax lyrical about him, but I'm so glad you did because I've already sucked off J.J. Abrams enough. Yeah. But dude, he's great. Emmerich's great. He's been in a shitload of things. He was in Warriors. He was in, like you said, he was in fucking Walking Dead, which I've just dropped off of. I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
The Truman Show, I really like him in Truman Show as his friend. He's great.
Yes, he's great. Show. One thing before I forget, also when they're leaving this crash site, and Joe sticks one of these. We see these almost like white Rubik's cubes, these kind of Minesweeper looking things. But he sticks one in his pocket, and I didn't want to go over that because I didn't want to forget. And be, oh yeah, hey, by the way, we forgot to tell you about this earlier. But he totally jacks one of those things, and that's another thing. What are these things? What the fuck is going on? What's the mystery behind all of this? It's classic. It's this classic JJ.
Yeah, no, it is for sure. Classic JJ, just setting up the mystery, ramping it up. But yeah, Nellick discovers an empty sort of Super 8 film box and assumes the event, I guess, was purposely captured on camera. So now he's kind of on the hunt. Here's another thing. I also really like the government conspiracy angle of this movie. Contrast that with these kids running around who absolutely have no idea what they're in for. It's just cool, man. Contrast these kids who have zero power against an entity that has all the power. It's cool.
Right. Yeah. The stakes are dialed up to 20. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. For sure, man. The kids panic in the car, but essentially the next sort of big thing to happen is you see well, not really big, but it's kind of like a teaser. It reminded me a lot of E.T. I think there was a scene like this in E.T., but just kind of the overhead shot of the town. You see the electricity go out and you hear the sound of the monster. It's pretty cool, pretty effective. But essentially, Joe wakes up the next morning, sees the train crash on the news. It wasn't a dream. And then Charles uses it as production value.
Yeah, dude, it's this kid. It's fucking opportunist, man.
Yeah, for sure. But I guess even before that, he goes to get the film developed. But as they're waiting for it to be developed, the town sort of experiences sort of strange events, right? All the dogs run away, and when dogs start running away, that's when you should start panicking because dogs know this kind of shit.
Yeah, trust a dog. If a dog doesn't like somebody and they're normally a friendly dog, or they're wigging out or they're barking at shit that's not there, trust them. Listen to them, man.
100%, because they can sense when tsunamis and shit are coming. I'd never forget. And look, I hate to keep bringing it back to movies. I'd love to talk about this in real life, but Godzilla, the 2014 one, where there's there's a tsunami about to happen and a dog literally just runs away, and then next minute, tsunami. But yeah, this fucking sleazy guy behind the counter at the film store, just wants to bang that sister.
Oh yeah, well, how could you blame him? But dude, that guy, his name's David Gallagher. He was in a really successful television show over here with Jessica Biel. It's called Seventh Heaven.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, he was like but he was like a little kid. Like, I mean, he probably would have been like my age when it was going on. Like, probably maybe a little bit older than me, you know, like if I was 10, he's probably 12. And I popped up and I was like, wow, this is fucking random. Like, I would never would have thought this guy was in there. But yeah, just a little, I was like, wow, okay. They talk about feeling old now.
Just one of those little things, hey. But yeah, so Joe goes to Alice's house because, you know, they want to reshoot the film, and she's like, I don't want to come back. I told you on the phone I don't want to come back. And Alice's dad rocks up. Lewis rocks up, and he's just so shitty against Joe, right? Like, he's just literally like, why the fuck are you here? She's not going to your party. Like, she's just like, no. What do you reckon about the way sort of like grief is handled in this movie? Like, do you think... I like that it's in there. It's not overdone, but it's definitely in there, and it makes you question like some characters' sort of like feelings against other characters. Like, if you were in Lewis's situation, would you be shitty to Joe, or do you just like would you be afraid of like Joe's father's kind of like reaction?
I think that most importantly he's feels the guilt of it. I think that, you know, but I don't know. I like personally, you know, if you know, let's say somebody called out and my significant other had to go to work and there was an accident and it happened, and my significant other said, do I blame the person that didn't show up to work that day? Yeah, I mean, I guess you can. I guess if you really want to, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's not anybody's fault, really. If you want to put a fault that way, go ahead. But I think that's pretty much what the whole point of the movie is too, is they're like, you know, there's really no reason why he should be, you know, you can, if your first kind of instant reaction can be that. I totally understand that. But I think that anything beyond that and holding it for years and saying, you know, yeah, you're the reason, because at first I kind of thought that he was drunk at this steel mill or wherever they were working at and dropped a beam on her or something like that.
I thought that too.
Right. And I was like, no, wait, he just called out of work and they called her in? I was like, now come on, dude. And I was like, you know, it's not like he fucking it's not like he threw the switch that dropped the fucking 1,000 pounds on her. Like, come on. But, you know, put yourself in Deputy Lamb's shoes. I mean, your wife's dead. You got to raise this kid by yourself. There's nobody to help you. It's only been 4 months, you know, and he seems like a very logical A to B to C kind of person. You know, he's not, I don't think he's got a whole lot of like sympathy for, especially someone like, he said his name's Lewis. That's Allie's dad, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he has a lot of sympathy for someone like that because, you know, you're looking at two people who are on total opposite sides of the law and society. You know, you have someone that's a cop. He's probably very well liked. You know, maybe like a deacon or an elder at their church, and they go every Sunday. And then you've got Allie's dad, who looks to be maybe a single father. Yeah, definitely a single father. And I think he even says so at one point. Drinks all the time. You know, works at the mill. And I think that they're both just trying to do the best they can with what they've got, but they just don't always see eye to eye. And I think that I understand. I kind of do understand Lewis's reaction because he's like, man, you know, your dad is still holding me accountable for all of this. And, you know, I've tried to come over and make amends. And, you know, but I mean, he's a jackass for showing up the day of the funeral. Like, that's ridiculous. But I understand his frustration. I don't want to sit there and say that like I agree with it or that I would do it, but I understand why he's doing it. And that's kind of a big character arc with both of their characters, is that, you know, you guys just need to drop this shit. This is not, you know, it's nobody's fault. It was an accident. You know, there's bigger things going on right now. And ultimately, the movie does resolve that. So I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah,
look, I literally everything you just said, I completely 100% agree on, right? Like, it's complicated. Like, there are like so many emotions that are just thrown in there. But yeah, I do agree with you. But look, we cut back to them doing their sort of like reshoot, I guess. The train, the wreckage looks really awesome post train crash.
Yeah.
In the background, it looks really cool. But yeah, Joe figures out that it's a Air Force train because each carriage has kind of like a hook on it.
Smart kid.
He is a smart kid. He's literally like, maybe he's too smart. Do you think he's too smart?
Kind of sometimes, but, you know, I don't know. You know, he's a quiet one. The quiet ones are always kind of smart, you know?
That's right. That's right. But yeah, we cut back to the Air Force guys. They've loaded up all the little Rubik's cubes, I guess. And the deputy is literally like, how can I help you? Just talk to me. He wants to find out what the hell's going on. Like, this is my town. Like, why the fuck are there military guys around the whole town now? But obviously, Nellick's just kind of stonewalling him, right? Like, he's being a dick. He's being a military dick. He's like, which town is that? And he's like, Lillian. And he's like, oh, okay, well, you'll know something when I know something. And he's like, if you're asking me if we had anything dangerous property aboard this train, I can assure you the answer is no. But obviously it's yes, because why would there be this kind of response if there wasn't? And, the deputy's smart enough to figure that out, right? Like, they're looking for something.
Right, yeah, they wouldn't have this kind of insane response or not let local authorities in if they were, if it was something that's harmless. Obviously, if it's something that's top secret, that's understandable. But, you're talking about working with local law enforcement, not talking about letting civilians in or something.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the sheriff's disappearance. What do you think about this?
I love this scene. That's great.
This is cool, man. This is like old school kind of horror feel. Like, I dig it. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, I love, because this feels like this is set in Ohio. I think Columbus is about 4 hours away from us, so we're not actually too far away from Ohio at all. This feels a lot like my hometown in a way, because even though I grew up in my hometown, born in '90, started going through teenage years in 2003, 2004. It was behind the times a lot. It's a small town in Tennessee. We didn't really have, we didn't have a movie theater brought in until I was around 20 or something like that, and it's expanded and it's grown really, really, really big, but it feels a lot like my hometown in some ways. And this gas station definitely did as well. There was one just up the road from us where I grew up that felt just like this. Those old school gas pumps and the not the digital readout, like the actual, manual kind of clock going on. I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. Like little things like that always get me kind of nostalgic. But I love the guy's got the old school Walkman. He's listening to Heart of Glass by Blondie and Breen, that's his name, which is a weird ass name, Breen. But I guess you just looking at the instructions, obviously, this is a brand new item. And I love that he's like, oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure your boss doesn't pay to listen to music. And he turns around, doesn't see him, and pops him in the face with that candy bar. It's a good aim, dude. Good fucking aim. But I love that.
I love how he tells him what the Walkman is, and he's like, "Oh, great stereos, it's a slippery slope." Like seriously, if only he knew.
Yeah, if only you knew. I love the way it's a Walkman. It's a Walkman. I love the way he says it too. But yeah, the whole disappearance of the sheriff is fucking great. And all the dogs running past him, he's hearing these noises. That great shot, it pulls way far out, almost to the edge of the road, and we see the light behind him. We see the Kelvins. Oh, the sirens come on. I love
the sound of the sirens was cool.
Yeah, I love all of this. Especially because as most of it's going on, Breen is in there with his fucking headphones in and doesn't hear shit. It kind of reminds me of the Stan Lee cameo in The Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. I didn't want to bring it up because it's fucking Amazing Spider-Man, but that's what it reminded me of.
That's exactly what I thought of. And this is kind of like we kind of get our first kind of glimpses at, I believe the production team wound up calling the monster Copper. I might be 100% wrong on that, but I feel like I read that somewhere, probably IMDb trivia. But yeah, just that great shot, and Breen's got his eyes closed and just kind of, bobbing his head, and the car's just getting fucking mangled outside.
I love that. I love the dumpster just going fucking flying.
Yeah.
It's just so out of nowhere. But yeah, you can when you see the car in the background, you can tell this thing is powerful, right?
Right. Yeah.
This is something to be afraid of.
Right, yeah, this car looks like, when he finally walks out there, it looks like something from a failed GTA stunt jump. Like, it just looks fucked, dude, like, so fucked. And his yell, too, when the monster, comes for him, it was very believable for a guy who's got 2 minutes of screen time. I was like, wow, this guy actually feels, he feels like someone from my hometown who's, just kind of like, hey, what's going on, Sheriff? Just kind of, just a laid-back guy, and him getting scooped up by this thing is very believable, and I love his scream to it. I think it's great.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, essentially the sheriff and the kid goes missing. We cut back to the kids. They're doing their little makeup gigs. It's all pretty casual. It's more just kind of like relationship building between Joe and Alice. I love the little kind of zombie portrayal that Alice does with Joe here, and Joe's just, you can just see it in Joe's eyes. He's just so like infatuated with this girl. He's like he's so amazed at how weirdly amazing she is.
Right? Yeah, they have a lot in common. Very dorky, kind of.
Yeah. And she's an awesome actress, man. She kills this role, I think, especially later, like when she's like kind of telling Joe about the circumstances of his mother's death. It's really she's great.
Yeah, I love this scene as well because, not only are we watching them, but Charles is watching them as well. Charlie's watching them. And the scene ends with him kind of looking from one of them to the other one. And that's great that you're showing us. You're not telling, he's not saying, hey, I like her too. We can see that on his face, that we see that he sees it, and that's enough. I think that's great. Right. It's a really good way to end the scene.
Yeah, there's some conflict coming, right?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, we cut back to the deputy. He's at the gas station investigating what I think looks like a bear attack. Like, seriously, you think a bear did all this? I mean, look, bears are the most powerful creatures on the planet. One of them, right? So sure, it's a fair leap, but come on. Like,
unless we're talking about them fucking giant ass like Yao Guai mutated bears from the Fallout like universe, I don't know what kind of fucking bear.
Or death claws.
Yeah, or death claws. Oh my god, dude! Talking about fucking nightmares. But yeah, unless we're talking about fucking death claws or rad scorpions or something, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But that is not a fucking bear, man. Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, like if you look in the shot where the deputy's talking into the radio, you see in the background just how decimated the store is.
Yeah, man.
Like the fiberglass falling from the ceiling and everything. I'm like, what do you think a bear did in there? Like, seriously.
It felt a shit ton like Jaws when he's on the walkie and you've got one of them over the other shoulder, one of them over the other shoulder, and it's kind of got that tunnel vision pull. It felt very Jaws. Like, okay, we've got an authority figure. We've got somebody talking about an animal attack. We've got like a long tunnel kind of shot. It had a very like Jaws feel to me, which is, Spielberg. It's what we're talking about. It's why we're here.
Yeah, for sure. And like, that's definitely on purpose, right? It's got to be. They're, like, you can't call that a coincidence.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, the deputy finds the sheriff's badge, figures out that it's the sheriff that's gone missing, and he gets a call. He's like, we've been getting some unusual calls throughout the town, and this is like basically like a little montage of shit that's gone wrong. The monster's been stealing car engines.
Yeah, like microwaves and shit.
I'm trying to imagine how that looks though.
Yeah,
like
right.
How the monster, like how he does that? Does he sneak around?
He comes in with like a huge trench coat and like fedora on, like, oh, hello, I'd like to buy a car. Like,
like fucking like sneaky music and shit.
Yeah, like some Looney Tunes, like, shh, I'm trying to steal cars. Like what the fuck? But I do love that because the guy who lifts it, he's like, I thought it was oh god, I'm forgetting their last name. Is it Daynard?
Lewis Daynard, yeah.
Yeah, Daynard. I thought it was Lewis Daynard. I rejected him on finance. I was like, dude, you are so playing to the fact that this cop fucking hates that guy, and you know it. You are an asshole, and your toupee looks like fucking shit. I was like, I was like, you look like a fucking dick with that little thing on your head.
Oh, boy. But yeah, they're all up in fucking arms. And then you just see this convoy roll into town. Like this Air Force convoy. And it's literally, I'm reminded of E.T. I haven't seen E.T. in a very long time, but this is E.T. to me.
I actually wrote down in my notes, I was like, E.T. plus The Mist plus It equals Super 8.
Oh, for sure. But Lucy's missing. That's Joe's dog. We cut back to Joe walking in on these cops, just, I guess, sort of like coming up with a plan. Hey, I left you some slices in the fridge. Oh, actually, I ate them. Sorry, kid. What?
That's one of my favorite lines of the movie. I'm like, oh, that's fucking great, man. That's so like, because they're burning the midnight oil. They're trying to figure out what's going on. He's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go in here and eat this kid's pizza. Fuck him.
this fucking savage just like put his hands inside the refrigerator and ate this poor kid's pizza in front of his father.
I got 2 slices in the fridge right now, and if I go in there and they're not there, I'm gonna fucking kill somebody.
Can you just do me a favor and mail me one? I'm starving right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're sausage and mushroom though. They're sausage and mushroom.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't deal with mushroom, but
yeah. Try it.
But then we no, fuck that. It just the podcast just turns us into like arguing over like what to put on pizza. By the way, no pineapple, please.
No pineapple. We can make mushrooms. Mushrooms, I understand, but pineapple, I will not go there with you because I'm never coming back.
Good,
I'll never do it.
My heart was stopped right there. Like your reaction determined whether we continue the Midnight Double feature brand. So
yeah. Speaking of pineapple, Super 8. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, circling back. But we cut back to this guy working on the power lines. Dude, some of the shots here are absolutely incredible. Like this wide shot of like just the road and just the darkness in the trees. It's awesome. Like this really like fast shot.
Very menacing.
Yeah. But this guy gets absolutely decimated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love because at first you're like, what is going on? And it's like, and they keep doing, they kind of hit you with it a couple of times and let you see at the bottom that salvage. I'm like, oh, okay, there he's on a junkyard. Gotcha. It's just like right outside the thing. Like, and yeah, the movie is compounding mystery on mystery on mystery. We have a train wreck. We have a monster. We have garbage. We have car parts missing and machinery flying through the air. Like, what the fuck is going on? But sometimes I think JJ gets a little caught up in asking too many questions and not asking and not answering, but this does a great job of kind of sealing everything really well. And I think this is again some more of that pays off really well.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And I like that there's no sort of like music here. Like the monster just comes out of the darkness and like literally destroys this guy. You get a shot of like the broken windshield. And then just the aftermath of like just the cherry picker just like rocking. It's cool, man. Like it gives you a sense of the scale of this thing.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Colin, what do you say about taking a quick break right here?
Oh yeah, that sounds good, man. I actually need to get some more coffee, take a piss, and stretch my legs. Yeah. That all sounds great.
All right, guys, we'll be right back.
I've got nothing against your friends. I like your friends. Well, things have obviously changed for us.
I have to help Charles finish his movie.
Be good for you to spend some time with kids who don't run around with cameras and monster makeup.
Could you close your eyes, please? Yeah. And action! Guys, watch out! Run! Go! Go!
An eastbound freighter derailed. What the cargo was on that freighter, we don't know.
We can't tell anyone. I know.
I understand you have concerns about our cargo.
Colonel, there isn't anything else that I should know, is there?
I can assure you the answer is no.
We've gotten calls from people who found local dogs, but the calls coming in aren't local.
Lucy!
It's like they all just ran away.
I've got property damage. I've got theft. I've got 9 people missing now. Clearly things happening around here that I can't explain.
to find this thing.
I don't feel good about this.
Go!
I saw it. No one believes me.
I believe you. What the hell?
Alright guys, welcome back. We are all good to go again. My bladder is now less full. But yeah, we cut back to this kind of like town hall meeting. This lady immediately blames the Russians.
God, I was actually kind of hoping they would throw in a scene where it just showed her like, oh my God, it's and it just smacks the fuck out of her like running down the street, like all the way till the bitter end. She still thinks it's Russians.
Oh, I'd love that, man. This lady reminds me of like this politician that we have here in Australia that's like a really like really conservative, and she's like, we need to ban the burqa because the Muslims this is how they do terrorism.
Oh,
like,
God.
Seriously, like, fuck off.
Yeah,
like,
fuck
just
you.
Eat a dick. But yeah, she's like, 20 microwaves gone from my inventory, so it must have been the Russians. Of course. Of course. But I guess obviously it's really indicative of the time period, like, because the movie's set in 1979. It's gonna be, you gotta blame the Reds, right?
Yeah, right. I still do today.
Hey, yeah, for sure. I mean, like, isn't that why Trump won?
No comment. No, I'm just kidding.
Every episode, I love giving you shit.
Yeah. Hey, Collin, how's your country? Oh yeah, it sucks. No, I'm just kidding.
Awesome. But I love how he's looking for this Milner cop, and he's like, "Have you tried his office?" He's like, "Have I tried his office?" Like, I just love Kyle Chandler. He's just so likable, man. Like, he's just he's great in this role. It doesn't really ask that much from him, but he feels really genuine. But the deputy finds out that his son was at Lewis's house yesterday, and he's like, "Stay away from my house, stay away from my daughter." And I love the look that the deputy gives him. He's like, this fucker. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we cut back to, I mean, it's not really that important, I guess. It's just still like building this sort of like relationship between Alice and Joe. It's all really adorable, really cute stuff. I guess we can just kind of like skip by it. Like, I want to give it its due weight, because it's really well done, but again, it's going to make for really repetitive podcasting if I say, oh, and then he said something cute, and then she said something cute, like, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah, we get some scenes of them bonding, and it's not, that's that's really all it is. You can sit there and shoot it line by line, but at the end of the day, it's good scenes. They're the performances especially from two such young actors are really good and really believable. They're awkward, they're kind of shy a little bit, but they're slowly kind of like warming up to each other.
That's Dakota Fanning's sister.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, God, they look a hell of a lot alike.
Exactly, yeah.
And they also find the frequency that other gentleman stands up at the meeting, and they find that the military have been using kind of like local frequencies, but they're scrambled. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to find. That's why he's trying to find. Did you check his office? I can't remember that officer's name.
But Milner, I think.
Yeah, but I believe he's the one that's got the descrambler, so they're trying to set up and descramble these radio frequencies and see what the hell is going on.
Yeah, they come across something called Operation Walking Distance. But even just before that, I guess, they found the deputy's dog 2 counties over, and, they pull out this map, and it seems like the dogs are running away from something. Again, always trust your pup. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the kids set up shop like right outside the house of Dr. Woodward.
Oh my God.
Production value. But yeah, the deputy rocks up and immediately shuts this shit down, right? He's obviously pissed at Joe because Joe's been fucking around at the Daynard's house, and, he's not having any of that. Mr. Lamb, technically that's your camera, but that's my film. He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
The thing I actually love about this scene is what Joe is wearing. He's wearing those kind of green fatigues with the blue beret. That's the exact same thing that his dad winds up wearing at the towards the end of the movie. He's got the exact same thing on.
I didn't pick up on that. That's so true.
If you look at, all of them are kind of wearing the same thing. But I was like, oh wow, that's fucking cool. I mean, it's less of a coincidence. It's like, oh, these kids just randomly have the exact same thing as these other guys. But I guess they just put something together and make themselves look like the guys who are actually in the house right now. So I thought that was pretty badass.
That's pretty cool. That is a really cool connection. So you notice these things. I don't really notice it. I'm just like, oh, wow, this is a cool scene. But yeah, so the deputy threatens Nellick, and he's just like, I'm going to get on the horn of Washington, and I'm going to talk to some friends about Operation Walking Distance. And immediately you can see how Nellick's like, all right, I got to take this guy down. There's no way I'm letting this guy walk from this. So
yeah, right. Yeah, he's used to kind of being the top dog here. I feel like, even though he's a deputy, a lot of people like him and stuff. But now they're like, all right, you're a threat. Just I'll talk to you, just not here. I love that. They're like, all right, calm down. Now we know that you're not going to go away, and we can't keep you quiet. You're not some small hick town cop, so we've got to deal with you now.
Yeah, exactly. We cut back to this conversation between the deputy and Joe. You're not friends with Alice Daynard. Essentially, just kind of putting a barrier between the Daynards and the Lambs. It sounds like a farm or something.
Yeah,
the
right.
Lambs. But yeah, they talk about how Lewis Daynard's been nothing but trouble. He's just like, I can't do this. I can't do it anymore. I will not allow him or his daughter in this house. I will not allow you to spend time with her doing projects or whatever it is you do. That's it. I hope we're clear on that. So he's just literally laying down the law here, right?
Yeah, and he kind of shoulder checks Joe, just a hair as he's walking past him. But I love, dude, the way this is shot. He's like, no, we're not clear. And when he turns around, he marches across the room, and we move the camera up, we're immediately seeing these two forces kind of come to the center of the room. I'm like, okay, that's such good filmmaking, because you could feel it just kind of suck the room together. You're like, oh shit, this is about to explode. This has been a long time coming.
It's good filmmaking.
Yeah,
definitely good filmmaking. And when a parent uses all three names for their child, Joseph Francis Lamb, shit's about to go down.
Well, and I love what the dad says here. They're just going back and forth. We haven't been clear on anything for a long time, and obviously they're hashing out a lot of other stuff besides what's going on with him in the is it Daynards, right? I can't believe Daynards.
Yeah, Daynards. Yeah.
But I love what the cop kind of. Or, Deputy Lamb, I think he kind of winds up coming to a little bit of a realization about himself, as he's saying this, because he's going on about how, the town needs me. There was somebody else that they could have looked up to, and now that person's gone, and now they're going to rely on me, there's 12,000 people in this town who are scared out of their mind. They've got one person to rely on. It used to be someone else, but now it's just me. And it's like, yeah. And that's also true with your son. Your son is I think he kind of the deputy kind of has a moment where he's like, oh shit, this is hitting home really well. And that's when the conversation just ends. And I think he realizes oh god, yeah, I can't believe what I just said, because it's exactly what's going on in the house. It's you give more of a shit about what's going on in this whole town than you care what's going on with your son. I get it, you're trying to keep people calm and stuff, but at the same time, this is just stuff that's going on in your home life, and you can't tackle that as well. It's damn, that's I don't know. I caught that, and I was like, wow, you're basically talking about your kid here. And I think he realizes it, and he's like, man, I fucked up.
100%, man. And that's fucking deep.
Yeah.
This movie's a lot deeper than people give it credit for. Sure, you can take it as a monster movie, but there's so much more to it than that. But Joe goes to the cemetery, sits next to his mother's grave, and he looks at the locket, just because it's very sentimental to him, right? It's basically his mum. Mm-hmm. He looks over, he hears something, and he sees the creature burrowing into something in a garage.
Yeah, I love that scene of him pulling up on the bike. I think it's probably my favorite shot of the movie because we just see the first. Yeah, you see those first rows, and then as he pulls in, we just start elevating, and we see all the rows, and we see the water tower in the background. It's great. But yeah, basically, here's some noise, and but I love, they're showing us. They're not telling us that he's been there forever. It's daylight when he gets here, and the next shot, it's night, and it's like, fuck, man. Like, I mean, it's kind of dusk-ish, but you can tell this kid has been here for a good couple of hours, and it's like, damn, that's good. That's good filmmaking, man. It's just very visual. But yeah, there's like the groundskeeper kind of shed, and he's you're seeing stuff tossed up, and what first thing I thought is like, God, that kid's got an amazing flashlight because he is lighting the fuck out of that garage. But yeah, I like this. I like this scene a lot. Basically, he's kind of discovering what's going on with this whole monster in the city and stuff.
100%, man. But we cut back to the Air Force Base, and this is basically Nellick threatening Dr. Woodward. Well, not threatening at first, because he's like, if you tell me, he's like, I know you had someone crash that train, and if you tell me where the whereabouts of it are, then I will take care of you. And basically Woodward's like, I've seen what happens, Mr. Nellick, when you take care of someone. Doesn't this look like Danny Glover, by the way?
Yeah, I think, like,
I'm a racist.
Well, no, I think when you're looking at him, like, from the face as well, I was like, dude, I feel like your shit would be way more fucked up for, like, one thing. Like, holy shit. Yeah. Like, I would, like, just to see what he looks like before the wreck, if he looked just like Danny Glover, and then after the wreck, I'd be like, oh, wow, that shit really fucked you up, dude. But no, I see what you mean. Like, he's kind of got that, like, if you put a mustache on him, and I'm getting too old for this shit. Like, I mean, yeah, I could absolutely see it, but I like that, because, and they also, this is kind of when they capture Deputy Lamb as well. Nellick says that he's going to meet him up there, and they're going to have a talk about the town, and blah, blah, and all this stuff, and all the Air Force just get out of their cars and pull out guns and just kind of surprise him, just kind of spring it on him, ambush him out of nowhere.
Well, yeah, just before that, actually, in the Woodward scene, I do like that. Woodward says, he's in me and I am in him, and Nellick's just like, well, he's mine. Like, they're both kind of like fighting for like ownership of this thing, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I do like that. I mean, it's pretty sad and pretty full on that like he euthanizes him.
Yeah,
just fucking straight up kills him. But yeah, like you said, we get a scene of fucking what's his name getting absolutely ambushed by. How scary is this, by the way?
Oh yeah, like, yeah, for sure.
These guys just kind of like pull up and just like pull guns on you. And you're like, hey, I had a meeting scheduled.
Yeah, not anymore, asshole.
Yeah, where's the? Can you point me to the conference room, please? Like, I don't know what's going on here right now. But yeah, we also get just quickly Joe sort of waking up to. I keep going to say Elle Fanning, but it's not. It's Alice, because their cinemas. Holy shit, their names are so like similar.
Right, and her character is Ali, and it's like, damn, like that's fuck. Yeah, that'll trip me up.
Yeah, but they see the Rubik's Cube kind of like moving, and then it shoots out of the wall. But yeah, that's kind of like this scene's pretty heavy. This is I think the heaviest scene in the movie, right? This is where Joe's sort of watching his kind of like memories with his mother, and Alice is breaking down and telling him, well, look, he called in. What did he call in sick? Right, he called in sick, I believe.
Basically, he'd been drinking
was too
that
drunk.
morning.
Yeah,
right, yeah, and he called in.
He was too drunk to go to work, and your mother took his shift, and he wishes to God that every day it was him instead of her, which is fucking heavy.
Yeah, especially for your 12-year-old kid to like know that and be actively talking about that with someone else. Like, fuck,
it's heavy, and like you can absolutely imagine that he's talked about it to her, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like, can you imagine, like in a drunken stupor or something like that? He probably had a conversation with her.
Right. Yeah. Just yeah, absolutely. I was going to say that. Yeah, probably drunk and just like slipped it out.
Mm-hmm. But she carries this really well. She carries this scene really, really well. She's a great actress. But yeah, like I said, Rubik's Cube flies out of the wall. They see through they see the tower through the hole. And then we cut back to this scene of Alice and his father again. He's like, wanna tell me where you were. He's obviously all fucked up. He's got that bottle of bourbon, I believe, just sitting on the chair there. And then we get this whole sort of, I guess, chase. Not really a chase, but she leaves, and he's like, I'm sorry. Like immediately, it's about. He regrets it, right? Immediately he regrets telling her to leave, and that results in him fucking destroying his car and smashing right into the back of another car. And miraculously he's great, he's all right, but.
Yeah, well, it's like, dude, he looks about the same as the doctor who rams the fucking truck. And I'm like, dude, what universe is this? Like, if I stub my toe, do I look like them as well? Like, is it just everybody looks the same after the slightest injury, but that's as far as it goes? Like, what the fuck happened to you guys? Like, I'm looking over, I'm like, what the hell?
Obviously science fiction as fuck.
Oh, yeah, right.
But yeah, I do like the collision. Like, it looks pretty cool, man. Like the way Abrams shoots it with the glass just kind of spraying out against the backdrop of the blue, pretty cool. I also really like the shot of Alice kind of like crying and being like, "Oh fuck, what have I done?" And in the background, you just see the movement of the monster. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It looks great, man. It's not showing the full hand. It's just kind of teasing you with the tip, not giving you the full Johnson.
The full
it's
dick.
great.
Yeah. It's good, man. But it grabs her. Lewis runs out and is like, fucking. He can't even comprehend what the fuck just happened.
Yeah, where I couldn't imagine being that drunk, getting into a wreck, and then seeing a fucking alien and be like, God damn it, dude, I gotta sit down.
But then it cuts to one of my sort of favorite shots of the movie, and that's this kind of overhead shot of this guy lighting up this field with his flamethrower. Essentially, the Air Force sort of need a reason to evacuate the town, right? So they create this fire and basically get everyone out of the town so they can, look for the monster?
Yeah, I guess. That or destroy it or capture it or basically get control over the town, quarantine, and get everything back under control.
Oh yeah, that's right. They evacuate the town so they can make it look like downtown Baghdad.
Yeah,
later,
right. Yeah, it's like
seriously.
It's like a off like location set for like the new Mad Max. It's like, holy shit, like.
Yeah, man. But I actually like this shot of like the tower. We get this kind of like pan up to the tower, and we see the Rubik's Cube thing kind of just like struggling to get in, and it's like dented the side of the tower, which is cool. But yeah, we also cut back to Charles and Joe, and they fight about, I guess being in love with what's her name, with Alice. It gets revealed that Charles, wanted her in the movie so he could get with her and not Joe, but sorry, Charles.
Allie has a great line when she sneaks in through Joe's window. She's like, "You shouldn't let him blow up your trains. He's bossy. He always gets what he wants." And it's like, actually, yeah, this kid kind of pisses me off now. I was like, he is kind of like, I get it. He's got a vision, and he wants to be a filmmaker and stuff. But he's very, he's kind of like the louder one in the group. Not, I don't want to say he's like a like a crybaby or anything, but. He's definitely kind of got that, like he's used to having things like his certain way. And I think this is just kind of, not only is he not getting things his way, but it's going to his friend. And that's what he says. He's like, it's not that you like her, it's that she likes you too. I'm like, that's a good line. It's not, I don't care that you like her. It's just the fact that she likes you too. Like, why would she want to go out with me? Blah, blah, blah. And that's really great. If you've ever been in the middle of that before, like you understand that with friends, like you definitely get it. And it's a good scene between the two of them, because Joe is so quiet and kind of introverted. Even the actual actor who plays him, J.J. Abrams, said, he was like, I had to like convince him into yelling at Deputy Lamb when they were having this fight, because he doesn't yell. He's just not that kind of kid. And versus Charles, who's loudmouth and big, and he has this big presence. It's good. It's kind of a good pseudo showdown between the two of them. I like the scene a lot.
It's good, man. It's a good scene. But you know what? Colin? The fat guy loses the girl to the skinny kid again?
Yeah,
God
I know,
damn
right?
it.
I feel oppressed.
This hits so close to home. I have so many grievances I want to air.
Oh,
God
yes.
damn it. Oh, fuck you, JJ. Fuck you for doing this to me.
This is America. The fat guy can't get the girl. Come on.
Yeah, come on, man. What the hell? Yeah, obviously it happens in Australia as well. What? No, that never happened in my childhood. No way. Hold on, let me get this box of tissues so I can fucking dab my eyes. But no, anyway, they see the monster on the video footage that they captured, which is pretty cool. And then we get the air raid sirens. We find out they're evacuating the town because of the fire. Mr. Harkin, what's going on? Evacuation, the fire.
Yeah. And
he literally had to point.
Yeah, and the kids, they just shift their head like 4 inches over and see all the smoke. I'm like, wow, didn't see that walking up though, did you?
I just didn't. Hey, there's a fucking. You see that thing blocking the sun?
Yeah, right.
That's smoke. But yeah, essentially they jump on this bus that's headed for the Air Force Base to safety, I guess. Air quotes, safety. Mm-hmm. And this is just basically kind of like this holding area for the entire population, right? 16,000. Is it 16,000 or 1,600? I think it's 16,000 people.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people to shove into your Air Force Base, but okay. Mm-hmm. Hope you got some good fire codes. But essentially, we find out from Lewis that Alice was taken, and Joe's basically like, "We got to go back into town, man. We gotta find Alice. We got to rescue her." This is some child. Some child plan, because this would never happen. I'm sorry. Like, as adults, you'll be like, "Oh, well, she's fucked."
Yeah, right. Exactly. They're like, well, we should just wait and, we'll change our Facebook profile picture and send her thoughts and prayers. It's like, no, we need to get in there and kind of do something.
Yeah.
But I love the plan that they come up with. This has been a recurring thing with the camera repairman played by David Gallagher, who we were talking about earlier. I love that this finally comes back because we've seen him like 2 or 3 times. And I love that it's not something that's just like, it is funny, but that it ends up kind of it's a major piece of the plot like later on. I'm like, that's fucking cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I asked Charles about you. You're a great guy. Hey, so will you hate me if I start our relationship by asking a favor?
Right. So basically they need to ride into town, and what does Charles say? I'll babysit so basically Charles is trading next weekend's babysitting shifts for the 2 twins, younger siblings that they have, because they have something like 5 or 6 kids. It's like, fuck. But I love that basically they're getting her to convince David Gallagher's character to give them a ride into town. I'm like, man, you must really want to rail this chick, because you're fucking driving into like a militarized zone right now.
Have you seen her?
Yeah, right.
Like, come on.
I'm like, damn, dude. But David Gallagher, man, that's a great character that he plays. It's actually really fucking funny. He's like a lot of the comedic relief in this movie.
Oh, for sure. Do not touch my CB radio. But yeah, we cut back to the deputy, and he basically breaks out of his little holding cell, taking the Air Force officer's disguise. It's cool, man. I also like this little kind of like breakout. He shoots the way he shoots the fucking the truck, the fuel truck.
Yeah, simple and genius and loud.
Yeah. Well, I also like that you like. It's kind of like this old school way of like filmmaking, right? Like, you don't see him point the gun directly and pull the trigger or anything like that. You see him like kind of like cocking the gun, and then like you see these 2 officers talking in the background. It's like gunshot, boom, like, you know what I mean?
Right. It's all very quick. Even him stealing the uniform, he literally knocks the guard out, looks up at the camera as it pans in, and then next shot he's in costume. I was like, wow, that's great. Because we don't need to see it. We just skip around. It's great. It's really good.
It's cool. But yeah, so he's headed back into town. Oh no, he's headed out. No, wait, hold on. What's happening?
I think, okay, so the Deputy Lamb
because this is where shit gets confusing. Like, people are headed everywhere.
He's heading to the Air Force Base because he doesn't know what the fuck's been going on. He's been kept in a cell the whole time. The kids are heading back into town to get Allie, but basically...
They pass each other.
Yeah, they do pass each other, but I believe the kids are going in not to only get Allie, but they're going to Woodward's shed, I guess, to just kind of look over his files or his research papers and see exactly, like what his hand was in this, because they know he's now they figured out, that he's some kind of like retired Air Force, and this is what they call the dungeon. That trailer, he took my digital football. It's been in there for like 2 years. So I thought that was pretty funny. And this is the one scene that you were talking about earlier with Martin. Yeah. And I love that because, again, he's just been kind of a fucking idiot the whole movie. He can't remember his lines. He's always like, "Oh, guys, I'm scared," and fucking throwing up. And he just snaps that thing. I was like, oh, wow, that was actually... It was heroic. Really surprising. Yeah, it was really surprising and heroic and fucking hilarious at the same time. It's one of the... It was great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, for sure. But they break into, I guess, the AV sort of room and like look through all the files, look at the projection, and then they discover pretty much everything. Right? This is the exposition scene of the movie. This is where Abrams gives you the answers. April 8th, 1963 incident. This is kind of basically the monster, I guess, reaching for this guy and just like devouring him.
Yeah, well, I think, or is that the one where he picks up, is it Woodard or Woodward? I think it's Woodward, right?
Oh,
Dr.
actually,
Woodward?
sorry, no, he doesn't devour him. Jesus Christ, what am I talking about? Yeah, he picks up Woodward, and this is when they develop this connection, right?
Right. Yeah. Basically, they find out that it's a telepathic. Once he makes physical contact, he can have, he can have telepathic communication with you, and he understands you.
Which is cool. Yeah. I fucking love that.
That's really badass. It's kind of like, hey, I just need to I can talk to you, but I need to set up a receiver first. It's like, oh, that's fucking cool. That's really neat because they said they've had this thing since 1958. I don't know if that's the original Roswell crash. Do you know about that at all?
I looked it up. Yeah, I do. I looked it up. That's not Roswell. Roswell was...
That was a lot earlier.
Yeah, it was earlier. Hold on. I actually have it here. So Roswell was... Yeah, 1947.
Yeah, I was going to say that doesn't sound right, but yeah. So basically, they captured him in 1958. So yeah, he's been locked up for, God, yeah, like 50 years. Which actually, 50 and some change. So like, God, that's fucking crazy to think about. It kind of reminded me of Paul, the Simon Pegg Nick Frost movie.
Yeah, for sure.
It kind of made me think about that.
Great movie.
But yeah, this is where like you said, we got a big old hot steaming pile of exposition.
Yeah. I guess, he has to give it at some point, but here it is. Kids get captured, and basically fucking, he's smoking a doobie.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Yeah, David Gallagher's character just fucking getting high and not paying attention to any of the stuff. I was like, oh my God, what a dumbass. Donnie, that's his character's name. Donnie, the camera store repair guy. But yeah, I love that as he's driving by, and I was like, I would be freaked the fuck out if I'm smoking a joint and see anything in a uniform. I'm going to eat that shit, dude. I'm not going to sit there and keep smoking the joint, you idiot.
Can we talk about why this guy takes Joe's necklace?
Yeah, right? I was like, okay, dude, come on. It's like
so random. You know what? It's because it's fucking black.
Yeah, right.
It's gotta be.
I was totally thinking, I was like, man, like, this has just got to be, like, okay, we understand these are the bad guys. We don't need to drill that home anymore with him taking the necklace from him. Like, I don't know, you could use this as a weapon, kid. It's like, really? Like, or whatever his reasoning is. It's like, yeah. I think this is a little over the top, but...
No. He's gonna sell that shit so he can, like, give his family some money back home in Jamaica or some shit.
I love as they capture the kids and load them back on the bus, and that's when Donnie, the fucking camera guy, notices that they're, he's just like, oh shit, but he hits the joint one more time before he puts it out. More time.
I love it. But yeah, we cut back to the Air Force Base. The deputy's talking to one of his officers. I love this shot of them behind this kind of like this cloth, this canvas. Mm-hmm. And you can just see their silhouettes, and basically it's just the deputy telling him, this is what's happening. And then the officer's like, did you hear about Joe? And then the deputy just kind of freezes. He's like, what about Joe? And he's like, well, Joe went back into town and he was captured. He was captured by the officers. And this is when we get the only sort of interaction with this other kid.
Yeah,
tell me where they are, and I won't throw you in jail.
Yeah, and but it's great because that kid, he folds like a deck of cards. This guy knows. He knows. I just got to put a little pressure, and this kid will crumble. I don't want to go by it either, just because it's one of my favorite lines. It made me laugh out loud when he first walks into the base, and the guy he says something. He's like, "Morning, Staff Sergeant." He's like, "Hey, how you doing?"
That's right.
He doesn't know what to say.
That's
he doesn't
right.
salute.
I didn't want to go past that either. I actually had that up next. I don't know why I had it out of order, but yeah.
That is so fucking funny.
Yeah. Morning, Staff Sergeant. Hey, how you doing? Like, seriously. Like, just so not used to that kind of talk. I fucking love it, man.
Yeah.
But we cut back to probably the second most memorable sequence in the movie. The bus moment. The bus moment? God, I wish I had a better name for it.
That's our new band name. Write it down.
But yeah, this just kind of comes out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, it felt like...
Cool.
Have you ever seen any of the Jeepers Creepers movies?
I have, yeah. It felt like the second movie, the whole second movie.
Yeah, exactly. It felt like the whole second movie. That's what it kind of reminded me of. I was like, oh, that's like, especially when everything gets fucked up and like tilted upside down. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, I thought that randomly the whole time. I was like, man, this feels like Jeepers Creepers too. It's really well done. There's a scene like this, or not like this, because obviously you're dealing with an alien here, but there's a sort of like an escape, prison escape in Fargo, season 3. Really, really similar to the way this is kind of like shot and the way it's done. But yeah, it's cool, man. The alien basically just fucks him up. I love Nellick. Tag him. And then the look of like the guy is like, seriously, you want me to go out there? Yeah, he's like, oh great, thanks asshole, I appreciate this. Been your right hand man the whole movie and took a kid's necklace and murdered an innocent man. You're gonna make me go out here now? Fuck you. Fuck you.
Yeah, I guess that's why he had to take his necklace, right? So he couldn't feel any sympathy for this guy.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I also love Carrie, like how he immediately knows what gun it is.
Oh yeah, I love it. Oh, it's a 308. It's all about. Okay, yes, thank you very much. Like he's like foaming at the mouth over it.
But yeah, the black guy gets absolutely destroyed. Mm-hmm. It's cool. This entire sequence is just cool, man. Like just the flashing light and like even when the bus gets like tilted and the way Abrams kind of shoots it. One of my favorite shots is just Nellick shooting the M16 and like from the outside you can see the monster kind of like moving in, but it's shot like straight, like not tilted, if that makes sense. So you see it from like the kid's point of view because they're standing on the side of the bus.
I don't want to go past it either. When they're all, like right when the thing starts tipping over the bus, they all start screaming, and Martin just throws up right over Joe's shoulder into the floor, and it's so CGI, but it's so fucking funny, man. It's great,
so funny because it's so natural. Like, wouldn't you?
Right? Yeah. Like, one of these kids is pissing, shitting, or throwing up. I don't care. One of them though.
I think all three of that happened. Like, if it was me, all three of that would happen.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, all of my orifices will just be, like, expelling something.
Yeah, just sitting in a big old puddle of Zoheb.
Yep. Oh, hey, what did I step in? Oh, you just stepped in Zoheb. But yeah, some of these shots, dude, of this monster just absolutely, like, ransacking this bus is cool. But yeah, there's one touch that I really like. Nellick really goes to help the kids.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was like, at first I was like, is he just trying to get into that area because maybe it's a little bit more secure, or is he actually trying to like help the kids out? I was like, I don't know enough about the character. We don't really get it. We don't need it. We don't spend a whole lot of time on him, but I'll give it to him. I'll say he's probably going in there trying to get those kids out because there's no reason why he doesn't want these kids dead. As far as he knows, they don't really know much of anything. But what if they do know something? I don't think he wants them dead for that reason. He wants to be able to extract information and see what they know and figure out why are they here at Woodward's office, and they're looking at the film. Maybe he's starting to put two and two together and realize, oh, these might be the kids who were like filming out there. I don't know. There's a couple different ways you can look at it, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'd say he's probably going in there to bail him out.
See, I'll say he's going in there to bail him out. Okay, this is me being a positive motherfucker. I believe the best in people. Just the look of like Nellick when Joe's like, please sir, help us out, and then like Nellick like knows that he can't get the keys because the keys were with the other guy. Just the look that Nellick gives Joe kind of gives that sense of, oh, I'm sorry, kid, I can't get you out of here. I'm sorry. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather believe that. I think I like that. I mean, like, it adds a little dimension to this otherwise sort of two-dimensional character because he's not really that fleshed out, as you said.
Right, yeah, and in that we just fucking love Noah Emmerich.
No, that's right, exactly. But yeah, the kids manage to escape, and Emmerich basically does his final stand with the M16, right? The dance off with this monster, and this is, I guess, the first time you get to see the monster's face, right?
Dude, great shots.
What do you think of the monster's design?
Little too much Cloverfield-like.
Yeah?
I do like it. But unfortunately, I just I like the design and it is cool. I like that it's it's kind of however many legs this thing has. I think it's like 4 or 6 or something. I like that it's kind of got this like spider like kind of like walk to it. I do think that's cool. But at the same time, it felt a little too Cloverfieldy. And I know that's not necessarily a J.J. Abrams movie, but the relationship between Cloverfield and its director, Matt Reeves, who he just did the Planet of the Apes trilogy over the last few years.
He's an awesome director.
Yes.
He's in line to direct the new Batman movie.
Right, yeah, exactly. And apparently J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves, when they were teenagers, they were commissioned by Steven Spielberg to kind of clean up his Super 8 films and fix them.
That's cool.
Dude, yeah, talk about your teenage years. Like, oh my God. So I think it's great that they all kind of get along and they all have a shared... I could see Super 8 taking place in the world where, Cloverfield happened. I could absolutely see that. But I think to say that they're like... completely unrelated in different movies, it's like, man, I think it honestly might have been cooler if you put the two together, because the similar, like, I'm not saying they have to be the same alien, we have one race of aliens, why don't we say that there's 100? There could be so many different things. Once we have one, it opens the gates for so much more stuff. But I like the way that it looks, but unfortunately I saw Cloverfield way before I saw Super 8, and I could not stop thinking of the Cloverfield monster the whole time. And it looks cool, and it does have its own kind of look, but it is way too similar to... and there's multiple monsters in the Cloverfield movie. There's at least 4 or 5. But I don't know. I just couldn't really get over it. It looks great, but not very original.
I agree. For the most part, I do agree. Because like you, I saw Cloverfield before I saw Super 8, so I was really kind of like, okay, so that's how it looks. But what I do like about the design is that it looks inherently alien. Like, I'm glad they didn't do kind of like a humanoid sort of like shape or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It's entirely alien, and even its like technology that like its ship is like insanely alien. It's something that we can't fathom, we can't understand. And even like sort of like the connection that he develops with Dr. Woodward, it's something that we're nowhere near to developing. Like, you know what I mean? But I also like that the facial design of the creature is really cool. It kind of looks like it reminds me a lot of General Grievous.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Like, kind of like that shape, but I also like that you can kind of feel a little sympathetic for it. Like, the creature in Cloverfield was horrifying. Like, it was scary. That's what its purpose was. Whereas in this, you're kind of meant to kind of sympathize with the creature a little bit more, because it's taking this sort of like ET angle. Like, you know what I mean? So they softened up the face a little bit, I think, which was a really smart decision. But yeah, otherwise I do agree. Like, it is very similar to that of Cloverfield.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
But yeah, the deputy takes Lewis, and he's like, we gotta go find our children. God, I keep forgetting his name. Who's this? What's the name of the guy who's smoking the doobies again?
Donnie.
I love how he returns to find the kids. What the fuck?
Yeah, right. Donnie, we need to ride into town. Okay, but just so you know, I am massively stoned right now.
And then, like, just his reaction, like, to the bus. But yeah, it's good. But I love that he's, like, basically passed out.
Yeah, there's like a fucking 12-year-old driving your goddamn car.
It's good. But then, yeah, again, we return to the first time to Baghdad. Fucking
yeah, right.
Tanks and shit in the middle of suburbia. This is crazy. It's really cool imagery. This is actually some of the best. This is my favorite imagery. Some of my favorite imagery of the movie. Just these tanks kind of like rolling up in this suburbia, and basically the weaponry is going haywire.
Yeah. Well, because when you're first watching, you're like, "What the fuck are they shooting at?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, he's causing all this interference."
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was like, surely they're not shooting at the monster because the artillery is everywhere, right? Like, I love this shot of this one sort of like soldier. He's like, yeah, the fucking something's happening here. Weapons are misfiring, all of them. It's a fucking shit show down here. Like, you know what I mean?
One thing that I definitely noticed that I did not the first time around is how much this town looks like Astoria from the Goonies. I mean, it is way.
Oh yeah, you're not wrong.
It's way too similar. It's one of like, I like it. You know, I like seeing that kind of thing. But dude, you've got enough nostalgia like crammed into this thing, and I think it looks great at some aspects. I do like kind of like that descending houses look going down, like out of the road just kind of slants down. But, you know, this is a movie that it already feels not too much like the Goonies. It's just right on the edge. And that kind of, that was honestly the thing that pushed it over for me. And I was like, okay, dude, like, I mean, it's like, I get it. Anybody can see that and see that you're kind of paying homage to that. But you know what? You got the producer you got Steven Spielberg producing this movie. I think there's enough of the kind of homage and send up or whatever you want to call it. There's enough of that going on. And I think that there's a fine line. And this kind of did hit that fine line with me. I was like, okay, dude, The Goonies is not the best goddamn movie of all time. Like, I was like, it's okay. Like, we don't have to make everything look like the fucking Goonies in this, or have this kind of nostalgia creeping up on us all the time. Because for one thing, it's like a 2-second shot. You know, I would have rather have shown the town to look like something else. Like, I love how they did Derry in the new Stephen King Zet. I love how they do Hawkins. Those feel like totally different towns. They don't feel like anything that's been played on before. And the town plays a big part in stuff like this, and that's kind of why it bugged me. I was like, man, like, I see what you're doing there, but you could have done something so much better. You know, it's cool imagery, but I don't know. That was the final straw for me. That I was like, okay, this is like redlining into the whole homage thing for me. It kind of lost me for a minute.
That's interesting because like it didn't hit me that way at all. Like, I don't have this kind of like nostalgia for Astoria, I can't remember, from Goonies, because I only saw Goonies for the first time this year.
Holy shit! I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't see it until I was like 20, and I was like, but at the same time, you can totally see it in the town. You're like, oh, what the fuck, man! But for me, it's not like nostalgia, but I see what you're trying to do, and it's like
yeah, I see what they're trying to do, but like I'm still not like, see, I have a high bar for homages and things like that and references. I don't like. I'm more of a person who's like, oh shit, I remember that looks really cool. Like, it'll take a lot for me to be like, okay, this is too much. Like,
right,
do you know what I mean?
Well,
it'll take a lot.
Hey, it's your right to be wrong. That's fine, dude. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Fucking, I'm gonna hang up. But no, I'm kidding. But, dude, like, the way I don't know how they did this sort of sequence. Like, I'm not sure if they built, like, shells of houses or something like that, because a lot of these explosions are actually practical.
Yeah, I do love the explosion. I love the whole action of it. It looks fantastic. Just it's so dark, and just it's one thing if these tanks were firing at something, but they're firing at random, and it's like, oh god, come on, dude, you guys got to get the fuck out of there. Like, the intensity, you can feel that. Regardless of how I feel about the scenery around them, like, I can check out of that for a minute to go like, dude, this is getting fucking tense. These kids have got to move.
Yeah, they're getting fucking blasted in the face and shit like that. There's a sequence where, like, they're in the house and then, like, bang, like, they just get fucking rocked.
Yes.
but essentially the kids separate. Joe takes Carrie, the fucking pyrotechnic Unabomber, with him to the garage because he figured out, I mean, the monster's subterranean, right? So subterranean, he saw it digging, puts two and two together. Are you sure there's not any sparklers in there? Are you kidding me? And he fucking opens the bag. It's good, man. It's good. But essentially they descend into this cavern. This reminded me a lot of It.
Yes. Okay, cool. I'm glad. Okay, because I've been, I just rewatched the movie the other night. I've read the book, twice. And I'm a huge fan of it. I think it's one of the best, fictional stories ever told. I really, really love it. And I was like, yeah, we've got kids in a small town. We've got, basically the exact same thing as that. We've got kids in a small town. We've got a monster underneath the town kind of building these tunnels and interworking all this stuff. And then to top it all off, he's kind of doesn't it end up leading to the water tower of the town, basically. And that's where the ship kind of gets constructed around it, almost like magnetized. Whereas, Pennywise is in the sewers. I was like, okay, that's a little much for me. That kind of made, as this kind of went on a little bit more, these are the parts where I started checking out just like a hair, but I was like, it's still a good movie. Like I said, at the beginning, we both really, really love this movie, and I was like, but it's not without its flaws. There are some things that, this is very well an homage of all things 80s and not so much just Amblin, and that's fine. Considering it was a novel, which is interesting because it is a novel set in the 50s that was written in the 80s. But in the 80s, they were obsessed with 50s culture, like how we're obsessed with 80s now. So it's kind of interesting, and it's very fitting that the new movie for it is set in 88, 2 years after the actual book came out. But I just thought there was, again, a little bit too much similar there for it. I'm really glad you said that, though. I was like, dude, if he doesn't notice this, I'm just going to quit.
No, man, I did pick up on it. And like I said, for me, references and things like that, I have a very high bar because I'm one of those kids who just sits in a movie theater and oh my god, that's cool, that's from this and that's from that. So when I saw Ready Player One earlier this year, I lost my mind. But yeah, I this entire sequence down here, it's obviously it because in that story, no spoilers, but I guess he's just well, can you really give spoilers for something so old?
I mean, no, not really. I just, basically it's a clown living in sewers, eating kids.
Yeah. A clown living in sewers, eating kids, kidnapping, I guess, kids, and it's revealed that, he's been under them the whole time. So, that's similar to what's happening here, right? I mean, this monster's kidnapping these people. And has been living under them the whole time.
Right.
But, did you have any more to say on that?
Oh, no.
Oh, I was just going to say, it cuts back to Lewis and the deputy, and they kind of air out their grievances. Lewis tells the deputy, I came to your house that day to tell you that I never meant to hurt anyone, I guess just to apologize. That's throwing it back to the beginning of the movie when he kind of arrests him. This is a great moment, man. This is a great moment because Lewis apologizes to Jack about what happened to his wife, and I can't be more higher on Kyle Chandler in this movie. He's so genuine. He's like, it was an accident. I agree, it was an accident, and this puts perspective in this is what's good about perspective, right? I mean, our kids, something's on the loose, the government's being shady, our kids are missing. Put the past into perspective. It doesn't really matter to me right now because this is what matters now. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I thought it was a great scene, and he doesn't need to say much. He's a simple guy. He's probably not good with words. Just wants to finally, after all of this, and especially with Joe being gone, him being separated from Joe, it kind of takes losing something to realize how much you really love it and how much you appreciate it. And I think the thought of him losing Joe, I think both of them, are kind of driving their kids away because, all of them are centered around this horrible situation that happened. and now they're now with you needed a bigger fire to kind of suck away the small fire of like your personal lives, and I thought that was really great. They kind of have that bonding moment, come to realizations that they need to be there for their kids and just let things go, and that just let bygones be bygones.
Exactly. It's a really touching scene, and it obviously ties up the conflict that those two had throughout the movie. Talk to me about the cavern. Talk to me about the microwaves and why the monster needed the microwaves.
So yeah, basically they find out that he's basically been rebuilding the ship out of parts, and the copper lines from the telephone poles. I assume like some kind of like microwave like emitter with the rays. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not fucking Bill Nye the Science Guy. I don't know. But yeah, basically they find, and he's kind of rebuilding his ship. From just parts of just like random stuff all around town, the car engines, the microwaves, the ovens, like going to the scrapyard. And that's also, again, this is what we were talking about, it feeling very finding all the people like hung upside down, like almost like a spider's been hanging them upside down. And this is especially with the It remake, where they find all of these, kids kind of like floating. And you're like, oh shit, like, okay, this feels very like, I don't know about all that. Like this is a little bit too similar. I think you could have had all these people in here and not had them hanging upside down by like cobwebs. And that just felt a little bit too. Again, it's like, okay, Does this
happen in the book for It?
You know what? I can't. It's a 1,138 page book. I can't remember exactly. I know that at the end of the novel, it is basically a giant spider that they face like physically. It's a lot to explain, but I believe that it's just in the form of a giant spider, and it's got a lot of them like hanging down from webs. I think that's accurate. It's definitely what happens in the miniseries in the 1990 It, but I can't say 100% for sure. But I feel like if it's in the novel, then it was in the miniseries kind of thing, because the miniseries stuck pretty close to the original. But I could be wrong.
Well, that's fair enough. I mean, it is what it is. Joe finds Alice. Basically, he needs Carrie to make a big distraction, and Carrie makes it just in time, just as soon as the fucking monster's about to eat Alice, right? Were you about to say something?
I was going to say it feels very. I always hate these like unnecessary 11th hour. Like, oh my god, get
the Deus Ex Machinas. Yeah.
Dude, just hitting the lighter fucking 25 times when it's worked every single time before, and now it's like getting into the car and running from the monster, and the engine won't start. I'm like, God, I hate that shit.
Don't dig it.
It's just such a cliche.
I do dig Joe fucking slapping Alice in the face.
Yeah, right. I was like, damn, kid.
To wake her up. And for some reason, like, you've built up so much sort of like goodwill between these two characters that it really kind of tugs at the heartstrings that, like, she doesn't say anything, she just immediately hugs him. I love that.
Right.
It's good,
it's
man.
Great. Yeah, just actions speak louder than words.
100%. But no, they find the sheriff. And they find, who's the other lady here?
Now, I'm not sure if she's the daughter of someone, because when they come in and start hearing about the Operation Walking Distance, she's in there and she said, she's got dark hair. She had curlers in her hair. You know what curlers are? He's like, yes, ma'am, I know what curlers
that's
are.
Right. Well, okay, for the purposes of this sequence, let's call her Expendable Number 1. And let's call the sheriff Expendable Number 2, because these two are just people that just need to be eaten first by the monster, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. We need just a couple of deaths in here, and they can't be our main characters, so you guys are going to be it.
Yeah, it's still pretty fucking shocking though. Like when it grabs the sheriff out of the dark, it's pretty cool.
Oh, dude, it's great. And I love the Expendable Number 1 woman. She's like, excuse me. Where are we?
Yeah, I love it.
Great.
I love it. It's good. But yeah, Joe makes a stand, right? He says, "Just go. Like that's all you want, right? Like, just leave. Leave us alone.
Right, yeah. I don't want to skip over it like where you were talking about where it smacks the shit out of that sheriff. And Joe warns him. He's like, no, we need to go the other way. He's like, just follow, and he's not listening to the kid. It's like, dude, I'm the one who came in here and saved your ass, dude. You're the one who got caught. Yeah. Like I'm trying to save your ass right now, dude. But it totally ends up fucking just snatching that sheriff out of like a bat, like on a moth, man. Like, have you ever seen him just snatch one up for we actually have a decent amount of bats around my apartment building, which is crazy. But you'll see them and they come up to these lights and all they do is circle and circle and circle because there's moths, and they just come and just every once in a while dip out of the circle and just snatch one up and fly off into the darkness. It's always terrified me. I'm like, that's fucking crazy. You guys give Australia for being horrifying? Oh, dude, yeah, no, I live in like the Australia of the U.S. Like, I'm in the South, dude. Like, I've fucking just like, God, so many animals and fucking, especially insects, is crazy. But yeah, just seeing that hand reach in and grab him from out of nowhere, it's just like, that is fucking scary as shit. And then it snatches up.
That's what I'm saying, man. Yeah.
And then it snatches up curly-headed lady, too. And I was like, oh, my God. Like, I kind of wanted to see her make it out a little bit. She was pretty funny, man. Like, that cracked me up. She's like, excuse me. But, yeah, like you said, Joe confronts our antagonist, and he basically tells him, he's like, listen, you go. You don't want to be here. Like, we don't want to fight you. Just, like, go. And he ends up scooping his ass up, and they finally have that telekinetic bond.
Yeah, we sympathize with the alien here. Well, we're supposed to anyway. Like, it opens its eyes and you just see, again, the facial design of this creature is really, really well done, I think. But anyway, the ship powers up, and this might be one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I really like this, the way the water tower turns into the ship. And one of my favorite shots is like the soldiers standing next to the shop front, and you see everything bust out of the glass. Like, it's fucking cool.
Yeah, I love that shit, especially once everything kind of all the metal stuff is being sucked up to it, and that one guy won't let go of his gun. I'm like, dude, you're in the military. Let go. There's like a truck full of them.
I'm like, you're not going to get a reprimand from losing your gun to an alien. You'll be fine. Like,
yeah, it's picking up cars, dude. Let it go.
Yeah. The shot of like the car like doing the kind of like the tumbling is fucking cool, man. Mm-hmm. It's awesome. But yeah, the Rubik's Cube fly out of the crate. And this is basically where Joe has to let go, right?
Yeah. This is it's a great scene because, we've been building up to this with his character arc. I don't know if there's yes, we've been building up to it, but I don't know if there's really been enough. Like, there's his father kind of been like, hey, I need some time. It's what's best for both of us. I want you to go to this camp, like, blah, blah. But there hasn't really been a whole lot of, like, you need to let your mom go. Like, there hasn't been somebody kind of telling him that. They haven't really been showing us that happening with him, like that build up to it. Because that's not something, I was kind of surprised when the thing, and he just let it go. He's held onto the necklace. Like, the kid's 12. His mom died 4 months ago. Like, I would be holding on to that fucking necklace for life, man. Like, that's just me. I can't speak for everybody, but I didn't feel like it ever, for that to be kind of like the last scene where he lets it go and it's literally the last piece of the ship and then it crushes the water tower and takes off and stuff. I didn't know if the build up was there enough for me. It would have been kind of cool if maybe there had been a few scenes where, bullies tease him over the necklace, or somebody says, hey, what is that thing? And blah, blah. Well, or even if his dad was like, hey, she's dead. Like, at some point you're going to have to take that necklace off. Like, if there had been some kind of build up for it, kind of like with Donnie, the camera store guy, it builds up, and then they use that as like a plot thing. I love that, and I wish they'd have done that a little bit with this, but I do understand it. It is good. He does kind of need to move on. Stop watching the films of your mom and like grieving over that, and you got to move on and appreciate the parent that you have right with you right now. And I did like that, but I wish they'd have just set it up a little bit more. That's all.
I get you. Like, they don't overtly, I guess, set it up in that way where, his life is being detrimental now because he's not being able to let go. But I guess, I don't know, it does add a bit of dimension to the character, I think. Like, this sort of way to kind of let go something that's been really traumatic to you in your past. It's really heavy. I think I do think this letting go of the necklace is a bit heavy-handed, though.
Yeah, it's a little on the nose.
A little bit. But, you know, with everything with the music and the imagery that's going on here, I'll let it pass. You know, it's great. It's a great finale. I like that, you know, this doesn't end in the alien destroying this town in a big, massive firefight with the Navy or with the Air Force or anything like that. It's just literally the aliens going home. You know, the kids hug their fathers and everyone goes their own way. I love that.
Yeah, I did too. This felt very War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise. You know, just the crashing and it felt. I don't know if it's just the water tower legs. Like when I saw it, I expected them to start like moving or something like the aliens from War of the Worlds. But I liked it a lot. I thought all of this is great, especially when it cuts over to Donnie and he's asleep in the car and you can see the reflection of the ship as it takes off. It's like, God, you just missed like a once in a multiple lifetime event. Yeah. and I'm like, oh my God, because you were too
Hopefully
high.
Someone caught that on camera. Oh wait, it's 1979.
Yeah, not to mention now all of our cameras have been sucked into the goddamn sky. But yeah, I like this a lot. I do think, like I said, it's a little heavy-handed, it's a little on the nose, but you know, it's a send-up and it's an homage or whatever the fuck you want to call it, and that's just how those movies were back in the day. And it would seem a little weird to end it on in any other way would seem odd, and it would seem out of context with the rest of it. But
yeah, it's a cool ending, man. Like we immediately, like I love that there's no sort of like scene after this of like the parents fucking having a barbecue at each other's house or some shit like that. It immediately just fades out, like the music just fades down, and then we get Electric Light Orchestra's "Don't Bring Me Down," written and directed by J.J. Abrams. It's cool.
Yeah,
it's a cool ending.
Their whole movie at the end. What is this movie called? Like I can't remember what their film is called.
Shit, I don't know.
It's like The Case.
The
Case. I was going to say The Cast. I was like, wait, no, that's not right.
The Case.
It is pretty funny, man. And
it's cool.
The whole thing that cracks me up is the kid at the
Romero
end.
Chemical.
Well, yeah, Romero Chemical for sure. But I love the editing is just awful. It's just fucking hilarious. And
yeah.
The kid at the very end, Charlie talking about, we'd be happy if you'd please submit this for your international film. And she comes out and bites him and then charges the cameraman. I was like, I did like that. I like the way it ended. That was really funny. That seems like something that, like I first kind of started experimenting with like film stuff when I was like in middle school. Like I was like writing stuff and writing script. I mean, God, they were just fucking awful. They was just terrible. But we actually, filmed one with like a VHS like camera back in the day, like 2002 or 2003. And I mean, and it's so funny to like when you make something from home and you think it's just going to be so good, and then you watch it later and you're like, oh my God, I had no idea that it would be this bad. Like, holy shit. And hopefully that's kind of your attitude with a lot of creative projects. You don't want to just do a creative project and then say, well, yeah, that's the best I can do. It's like, no, I'll come back and keep like hitting at it. So, but yeah, I love that. I relate to this a lot. I know you do. I know Vela does as well. Of just being a kid, being in love with movies, not having a lot of people around you that want to be like filmmakers and want to actually be in that kind of. I feel like everybody wants to be an actor, but very few people want to direct, and even fewer people want to write.
Not only that, but like having sort of adults support you as a kid. Like that scene where Joe talks to his father, and the father's like, you gotta stop playing make believe and makeup and shit like that, and be a man. You gotta go to this boarding school. Like it's like for me, it doesn't really hit home because like I didn't really have that kind of negativity. My parents were always like really supportive, but like I can see how it would be.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think that. The biggest thing is like supporting, yes, trying to support, especially because filmmaking is just such an expensive habit, or such an expensive hobby, and a hobby that sometimes will turn into a habit if you get successful at it. And like, that's why I prefer like writing stuff. It's just like anybody, you got a laptop, cool, you can write a script, you can write a short film, you can write a comedy sketch. But I relate to this a lot, and these kids just, they want to make a movie, and I think that's fucking cool. And it's, even if they aren't the best at it, it's fun while you're doing it. And there's a monster involved, and 12-year-old boys having crushes on 12-year-old girls, and love triangles that are very complex for 13-year-olds. But yeah, I like this movie a lot. I'm glad that we covered this one. This is this is something that was like, because you like a lot of newer movies, I like a lot of older movies, and I've realized that if you just, it's kind of like those Venn diagrams, and it was so much in one circle for both of us. Because I mean, not to say you don't watch anything that's older, and I won't go to a theater and see something, but this is a perfect movie for us because it satisfied my needs for like an older movie, something kind of sci-fi, something kind of retro. But at the same time, I know, you like J.J. Abrams a lot. And just the newness of it and stuff, and how J.J. Abrams directs things, like we were talking about earlier, that sleek kind of like shiny look that he has to things, and it makes you just wow, it looks so good. But seeing an old school kind of idea with that new kind of look was really great. And I think it's something that we can both agree on, because it's from a time of movies that I love, and I'm not such a fan of like newer movies now, but this one doesn't feel like a newer movie. It just feels like updated stuff from the 80s, which it can be a good thing and a bad thing, but I think it's a good thing, and I own it. I'm very happy to own it, and I might even watch it again once I get out of here.
For sure, dude. This movie just, it's got so much going for it. It's full of wonder, it's full of mystery, it's full of suspense, it's full of heart. And I think it's really tough to find a movie these days that kind of hits you on those kind of levels. Again, Abrams directing is really it's not Nolan, it's not Scorsese, it's not Tarantino for sure. But what I like is his directing in all of his films is confident. It's really confident filmmaking. Like there's no kind of like sort of moment where you're like, oh, this feels a bit weak, this feels a bit, it all feels consistent, and it feels like it's driving towards something, right? I definitely love that about Abrams. This movie, man, this absolutely has a special place in my heart, because it's just so, it's today's E.T., I think.
For sure.
I mean, if you talk E.T., for sure, if you go back and watch E.T., you'll obviously say this is like, E.T. is better than this, because E.T. is a classic, right? But this is what you can show to your kids if they believe, if they don't watch old movies or anything like that, like it's something that's just, this is only a story that you can really tell in science fiction, because there are only so many stories you can tell in science fiction, that you can't really tell in any other genre. And I think Super 8 just fucking nails it, man. It's just one of those movies that you just really have to love. I actually have a comment, a listener comment, I guess. One of my best friends, Damien, he's been a supporter of the podcast since we started it. We used to work at the movies together, so we used to get what's called comps, which are 50-cent tickets every day. Maximum
nice.
Maximum 2 per day. It was pretty cool, man. So we saw this movie multiple times. Damien says, seen it 3 times at the cinemas, and need I say more? Which is pretty cool, man. Like, it's so true. And obviously, good friend from the old British Isles over there. I really enjoyed this film, Zoheb, says Craig Dealey. Thanks, Craig. Love you, man.
Yeah, simple, short, and sweet.
Yeah, both of them. Simple, short, and sweet. Men of few words, eh? But yeah, seriously, thanks for covering this movie with me, man. I absolutely adore this movie.
Oh yeah. Real quick, what was the budget?
Gonna lowball it because obviously it's a small movie, but lots of effects, lots of explosions. Let's say I'm going to say it's somewhere around the ballpark of Dread, so let's say 50.
It is 50. It's right at 50.
Yeah!
It was $50 million to make. It made $127 million in just the U.S. and went on to make $260 worldwide.
Fuck, that's all right. That's good profit.
Yeah. I do have just a few last things of trivia. Jeremy Renner turned down the role of Deputy Lamb.
I'm kind of glad.
Oh yeah, he turned it down for Ghost Protocol.
Okay, so it worked out. Yeah,
the monster, 3 minutes of screen time. That's it. That's all we see him for.
That's how it should be done.
Yeah, right. And I didn't know how much music that J.J. Abrams wrote. As I started looking through, he wrote the music for 11/22/63, the Hulu original series from the Stephen King novel.
I've got that. I just haven't seen it.
Oh, it's great. It's really, really good.
Is it? I'll watch it.
It got me to read the book later on, and I still haven't finished 11/22/63, but it is very good. I finished the miniseries, and it's very good. I liked it a lot. I was sucked into it right away.
I love anything and everything associated to the JFK assassination. So
right, yeah. Dude. Well, that's a whole other podcast because I've got some fucking theories about that shit.
Dude, we can talk.
Yeah, yes, for sure. Conspiracy theories, like not saying you don't have to believe in them to be entertained by them. Like, there's plenty of them that are like, oh, maybe JFK was an alien. I don't know. But yeah. Either way, we got. We'll go ahead and do you want to go ahead and announce next episode? We're going to be doing 2009's Watchmen. Super excited to be doing Watchmen. That's one of my all-time favorite comic book films. I don't want to go too far deep into it. I want to save some of my thoughts for when it comes up. But big fan of the comic book, big fan of the movie. I've been planning out Watchmen tattoos for years. But it goes on you permanently. So make sure you got it fucking right. So I've been planning stuff out for a long time.
I think it speaks to what you were talking about earlier with Super 8, how it's a movie that we both like. Watchmen is not different because we both dig that movie, man.
Yeah, right. And I think that, God, I want to go ahead and jump into it now, and I'm having to no. But I recently went out and got the ultimate cut the other day and watched a few scenes from it. I didn't have 3 hours and 45 minutes to kill, so I didn't pop it in and watch the entire thing, but I skipped to some spots that aren't usually in the theatrical or director's version, but I think we'll probably do the director's version, unless we just decide to do the
If I can find the ultimate cut,
dude, there's no fucking way that would
we can go balls out.
Yeah, and have like a 4-part podcast for one movie.
Yeah, Django Part 2.
Yeah, Django Part 2. Yeah, but yeah. So I'm super excited. I think that's our first Zack Snyder film too. And I got a lot of love for that guy, even though he's got some flack over a lot of stuff. And I know you're opinionated about Justice League and stuff, so it'll definitely be an interesting.
We can talk about Justice League.
Right? Yeah.
I bet you one day, man. Matt we'll sit down and we'll talk Justice League.
Yeah, I need to watch it first.
Don't.
But yeah, if you guys want to get a hold of us, you can always email us at midnightdoublefeature@gmail.com. There's also Facebook. There's the Instagram. There's our group that's connected with our Facebook called The After Party. That's all one word. Make sure you rate and review us on iTunes. We're going to be possibly looking at some giveaways coming up. Nothing too crazy. Maybe just, a few movies that we've got in the bag. Just kind of getting some kind of social interaction with you guys. Our Instagram is getting a lot of feedback. It's every day. Just we're getting more followers and getting a lot more positive review. Actually, it was crazy today. I was I have this audio recorder that I was like, and I'm going to go to the pawn shop and see what they'll give me for it. And they were going to give me like $20. It's like, fuck that. I'm going to keep this thing. But
also, I wanted to shout out our resident troll of Instagram, Pretty Vanilla. She knows who she is. Thank you, bitch. But yeah.
I was at this pawn shop and trying to sell this audio recorder today, and this guy's like, "Oh, you never use it?" I was like, "No, I was doing a podcast, but I ended up using USB mics. I don't need an XLR, blah blah blah." And he's like, "Oh, what's the name of your podcast?" And gave me his card and told me to email him and tell him about the podcast. And it's like, wow, that's random. His name's Tony. Really nice guy. It's kind of like the first face-to-face interaction I've had where somebody was actually like, who wasn't a friend or a relative, curious about what I was doing, and I was like, wow, that's fucking really nice. It's always
cool.
great. It's always great to get that feedback, positive or negative. I mean, if there's something that you guys don't like about the show or something you think we can work on, we're always down to hear open suggestions. We've definitely got an open door policy here, and any type of feedback is good feedback unless you're just a fucking asshole.
My door's always open. Just make sure I'm wearing clothes when you walk in.
Yeah, because most of the time I'm not. But yeah, you got anything else you want to say, Zoheb?
Not really, guys. Look, seriously, thank you so much for joining us. We both love this movie. We hope you do too. If you don't, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. But yeah, like Collin said, we have an open door policy here, so you can always just reach out and just talk shit with us. But yeah, we got some big shit lined up. Hopefully, we'll be able to reveal that soon. But yeah, man, thanks so much, guys. Really, thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Cue that outro music.